live? Think I'm live. Hope I'm live. Maybe I'm live. I should be live. But it says 0 in the live chat. It's impossible for it to be 0 in the live chat. Somebody's always watching me. Googly eyes are always watching me. But that being said, it's been a while. We had a week off last week. We took a week off because, C3, Comics Curing Cancer. We were involved with that. Congratulations to everybody that was involved. Congratulations in unison, myself included. In unison, we all were able to raise $55,000 or so for the American Cancer Society through Comics Curing Cancer. Give everybody a applause. Do one of these things. Tired. Glad that I don't have to do it again until next year because there's a lot of things. I'm still packing stuff up. But that being said, we're not going to talk about that today. We'll talk about that in the next Insomniac. Today, what are we going to talk about? I got this guy. He's in the back door. He's just sitting in my back door right now. I got this guy, Manu. He goes by this little thing called the 9.9 Newsstand. What this is all about, we're going to find out today. But that being said, it's going to be time for me to play an intro because that's what we do. Anytime you have a successful type of streaming format, you have to play an obnoxiously long intro. And not only does that intro have to be obnoxiously long, it has to be extremely outdated. And lucky for you people, that's how my intro is. So enjoy. Damn right this is live, because that's how we do it. We always do it live here, my friend. And that's how it works here. We don't do pre-recorded, so we don't do anything like that. We do it live.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Do it.
I can't do it.
Do it.
I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
10, 5, 4, 3.
You heard that? Bill O'Reilly said we're doing it live, so we're doing it live. So without any further ado, see, because I'm multilingual, you see, I'm using international words. I'm not one of these, Neanderthals that only know English. I know all kinds of words. Without any further ado, we'll let our friend in from the back door, Manu, the 9.9 Newsstand himself.
My man, how are you, my friend? Thank you for having me. I'm having a good time already, man. That was quite a setup to the show, man. So how are you? And thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. You see how I set the background on the screen now, because I'm like technically advanced. So you see how I put my name on top, Comic Journey, and then on the bottom I wrote 9.9 Newsstand. That's you.
Dude,
9.9 Newsstand.
you did an incredible job. You are a professional. I tell you, I don't know if people give you enough credit, man.
I'm technically advanced. I'm really good.
I like it. I think I don't know how you do with the chat, but I pay a lot of attention to our friends in the chat. I want to say hello to everybody, but really quickly, Bobby De La Ghetto says, "Why is this intro so long and annoying?" And I know that's a running joke, but it's supposed to be long and obnoxious, right? Not annoying, right?
That's right. He got it wrong.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? Maybe I have to make it more obnoxious next week.
Maybe that's what it is.
Think that's
Good
what we
evening,
have
everyone.
Now, although next week we won't be having one. You know why? Because next week is New York Comic Con week.
That's right. Are you going to be attending?
I will be there.
Fantastic.
I will be there. What I'll be doing there? Top secret.
Okay, great. That's actually, I'm a big fan of secrets. I'm probably going to fuck that up a little bit this evening, but I'm a big fan of Oh, before we get too far, I overheard something you said, which I admittedly wasn't aware of your accomplishment. Congratulations on raising $55K for such an amazing cause. Definitely wanted to take a moment to just say congratulations and thank you for doing that. That's incredible.
Well, it's definitely not me. You know, I was part of it.
Yeah.
It was a group effort. But the entire organization, everybody that was involved, whether it was through my stream, K-pop stream, Rob Fatstacks, DJ Links, Legion of Comics, Izzyverse, Cliff, Gary B, all the channels, all the community members that got involved. If I miss one, fuck you, I miss you. You know what you did.
Shout out everyone, yeah.
All right, so you should all be proud. So we all did. I'm very proud of that, and this is the third year that I'm getting myself involved with this fundraiser, and I love the fact that every year we're doing better and better, and being able to help people in the best way we can.
That's really terrific.
But that being said, this is not about me. This is not about C3. We'll talk about that another time. This is about you and how I'm going to influence you.
Bring it on.
That's what it's all about. But before we start getting into influencing each other, let's say a couple quick hellos to everybody.
Please.
Now everybody knows the rules. One hello. One hello. Everybody knows the rules. Okay. So we're going to say hello to everybody. But all the Johnny come latelys that are going to come later on, we're not going to disrupt our conversation for your freaking hellos. All right. We're just going to hello now, and we'll wave to you if you come in later. We're not stopping the conversation for you people. You know who you people are. The Johnny come lately people. Well, you know who you are.
You're speaking to the people that aren't even here yet, and I'm going to break the hell out of this rule. I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm really bad about stuff like that.
No. The rules are not meant to be broken, all right?
All right, you got it.
All right, so we got a little Cruises all the way from New Mexico. He's hurraying right from the get-go. And you know, not only is he hooray, he was here from 4:55 p.m. today.
Ooh, I love that.
Eastern time, not your time, like real time.
No way. Wow.
Yeah. And then you got GTK Comic, who was here from, who knows what time he came in from. He came in from 5:09. Look at you. You're not number one. He's number one. Not you. Him. You come in second. You know what coming second means? You lose.
Not winning.
He wins. You lose. And then, holy crap, everybody started coming in really early today. Well, I guess everybody was in anticipation of this. So we got GTK, you got Darth Lopez in the house, you got the Jay Ryan, who was a champ, by the way, during the C3 auctions himself. Yeah, we're not here yet. We are here now, though. And not only do you get a hooray, you get a woohoo from him as well. You know, and then, no, I was not arrested. What do you mean? Why are you spreading propaganda that I was? I have a link of me being arrested.
What is this, CJ? What is this?
Don't you worry about what that is. Well,
all right.
I'll take care of BFIT later.
All right, you let me know if you need me.
Don't worry about it. I'm from New York. I got a whole savage team of attorneys over here. They'll fix everybody.
I respect
that propaganda. Speaking of savages, we got a savage from all the way from across the pond, MJ Comics. Which you had quite a nice interview with him a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes, James is a good friend of mine. I love him and love his channel, love what he's been doing, and I enjoyed our conversation. We've had several conversations together on YouTube, and I look forward to our next one. Should he be gracious enough to have me on again? But shout out to my man. What up?
I was a little bit disappointed though in that interview. He didn't get you
Why?
to cry.
I do that off screen.
Let's see if we could change that.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if we
We'll
could
give it
just
our
change that
best.
tone. Let's see if we could change that. Maybe I'll play some 28 Days Later music, and then you start getting all somber and sad the way
Yeah,
he does.
James was all about the music being added to the
Mr. Melodrama. Love you.
I think it was Jem that first called him out for that. And that just became a thing. Jem was like the music man.
Holy
Derek, what
shit.
up?
He makes me want to cry, and I'm not even emotionally invested.
I'm telling you, man, he puts his whole heart. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and you can tell. I love it. Yeah, but it's that emotion of his, that spirit of his, that allows him to bring so many people together and have a conversation in a way that many of those people haven't before. And I think that's impressive.
Oh, we had a
Actual
good
Dracula,
evening.
what up?
Good evening, Dracula.
Evening,
All the way from
indeed.
Canada. He's Canadian.
That's not
And
where Dracula's from. No, just playing.
the actual Dracula is from Canada.
Ah,
You might not have knew that. The other
learning.
Dracula is from, from
Transylvania?
Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, that's right. My bad. I mixed it up.
Yeah, but the actual one's from Canada,
That's right.
Saskatchewan,
That's right.
with the Bigfoot. That's how where they live. And we
Yeah.
got Derek Neiman in the house. Hello.
Derek, my man. What up?
And I see this guy over here.
What does that person do? Hey, how do you have? I'll talk to you about that later.
What are you talking about?
My logo on you have your logos in a circle, which makes my logo fit properly. And on other YouTube channels, my logo shows up in a square with a white thing around it because I didn't upload it properly originally. But you've corrected this.
Because everybody sucks and I'm the best. That's
You
why.
are a professional. We just you're technically advanced. We just talked about this.
I'm amazing. Thank you for telling everybody.
I let them know.
Yes, we are live. I'm not getting Bill O'Reilly back out, but we are live.
Yeah.
Bobby, I will make it more obnoxious for you. I promise.
Yeah,
And
we got to get rid of the annoying. It has to be obnoxious, not annoying.
Or maybe I'll make it annoying and obnoxious simultaneously.
Doubling.
Might be able to work that. We got Tate Prime in the house. Hello. We got Gary B in the house. Hello. While he's at work, so we won't. Listen, Manu. You better not use that obscene language of yours. He's at work right now. We don't want to get him fired. All right. All right. Be on good behavior.
Okay. Yes.
We want to make sure everybody's on good behavior. We want to get anybody fired. And we got
this
White
is a
Tiger.
Positivity stream.
That's right. We're all about positivity here. Yeah. No negativity.
No.
And we got White Tiger, Cool, Calm, Collected. Cowabunga. Cowabunga to you.
TMNT.
He sounds like he sounds like he's from your side of the world. He's a West Coaster.
I just had avocado toast.
You're one of those avocado munchers. I knew it. We got Kevin Bird in the house. We got Jose 2099 in the house.
Yo, my man, what up?
And we got Still Owe Me 35 Cents all the way from Australia.
Hey, hello. Thank you for joining us, my friend. And Jose said, I don't know if this is going to be great or it's going to be a disaster. Either way, it's going to be great. Disasters can be entertaining too. I mean, we know that for a fact based on
it's going to be an event, just like always.
Yeah.
And we got Jerry Jitter in the house. By the way, are you into like conserving and restoring comics and stuff like that?
No, because of the sort of comic books that I spend most of my time dealing with. I don't encounter things that need restoration or conservation very often, but it is something that I am looking to expand my knowledge on and also get into silver and golden age, as a graduation from what I'm doing. Right. So I'll be there soon. I'm not there yet.
You need to check this guy's channel out. This guy's bonkers. The stuff he does with comic books. And the tricks and techniques that he do, and the good thing about his channel is he's not like one of these obnoxious guys that just does it and like you're supposed to know what they're doing. He actually talks you through all the process. So it's a good channel. You should definitely check it out.
Sounds good.
Places in New York are like me.
My man, RMS. Oh, I love New Yorkers, by the way. That's awesome. So shout out to all you New Yorkers out there. This is my friend RMS. This is Ryan. Ryan is my friend. And
wait, Wait a minute. Are you bringing your friends in my chat?
I mean, I
Are you
hope
trying
they
to
show
even
up,
the
man.
odds in here? Like,
No, man, listen, my friends, they get enough of me already. They'll probably be happy to sit this one out. But if they should show up to support, I would be happy.
I'm warning you right now. We're not going to have a Comic Tom situation over here where you're going to turn the chat on me. My chat
Listen,
is
no,
already against me from the get go.
you know
So
what?
joke's on you.
CJ, that's a bit disingenuous. Okay. That's a bit disingenuous, as my friend Tom would say. Shout out Tom. I just wanted to get that out there real quick. Shout out Tom. Yeah, we won't put a bunch of numbers in the chat. Tom, that's his thing. That is trademarked. That's how he does his thing.
Well, even when Tom was here, he couldn't do that to me because my chat is against me from before he even got on my channel. So,
Okay.
haha to you.
I got you.
I'm already fighting them. I don't need any extra help with numbers and ones and twos and all that stuff. Did you see that one full stream, by the way? That was interesting.
Wait, you're talking about Tom and Sticky?
Yeah.
What an incredible piece of content. I absolutely saw that stream, and I absolutely enjoyed it. And, for a variety of reasons, not because I wanted to see anybody, get hurt or emotionally or otherwise. And I don't think Sticky did.
All right, let's say hello to Monch. Hello, Monch. We'll
Sorry.
get to the
Yeah.
rest of the hellos in a second.
Yeah.
Tell me why you enjoyed that. I'm just curious because
Um,
I heard that from a lot of people. They enjoyed it.
Yeah. So, okay. So there were a lot of elements of it that were enjoyable, right? I enjoy. Here's one of the things that I enjoyed about it a lot. Now, first of all, I want to say shout out both Tom and Sticky, right? Tom is a friend of mine. Tom is someone that more recently than not, we've developed a personal connection, and I appreciate him, but I've had respect for him long before that. And I hear a lot of the things that the community members might have critiqued about Tom, so on and so forth. But it was also very apparent to me that a lot of people actually don't know him, and they might just be latching on to what they've heard somewhere else and, echoing certain sentiments because it might be amusing or entertaining. And I'm not trying to discredit any criticism. Some might be really legitimate and personally felt by the individuals making them. But I thought it was really nice to see Tom stand up for himself unapologetically. It's not the first time that Tom has been questioned about some of these things. He was prepared mentally more than anything else, and he showed up to handle business and he took care of business. Now, I'm not saying that he showed up looking for a fight, but he was prepared for one. But he's prepared because he's sharp. He's sharp in general. He's a sharp guy. And so he's aware that something can take a turn at any time, and he's ready for it. And we saw him showcase that. We saw him defend himself. And people can sympathize with that. People can appreciate being put in a position where you have to defend the things that you do. And, that's a likable quality. Like, we will cheerlead and champion that. And it was nice. And so it was quality content to see him unapologetically defend his position and not be shy to do so. So that's something to respect. I think he won over a lot of people with that. And many of my friends have said that, and I believe that to be true. And so it was an enjoyable piece of content because it was unexpectedly the fight was unexpected, right? The way that it went was unexpected. When something's unexpected, it keeps your attention. So that, I can't put my finger on what I enjoyed about it, but I certainly enjoyed it. And from the perspective of Sticky, yeah, he might have anticipated something. And respect for Sticky, he and I have a relationship as well, a good one from my understanding. So no, there's no reason for me to pick a side, but he might have been expecting something a little different. But the takeaway from him, because he's reflected on it in certain videos he did after the fact, he learned a lot from it. That's a win-win. That's a good piece of content. You had a guy that was going down a path and not met with a formidable opponent before and sort of having his way with the situation, and then got challenged to the point where you had to stop, take pause, and really think about what the fuck just happened. And he's learned some things from it, and he's going to come back, I'd assume, stronger than ever. And we'll see what that new Sticky, maybe not a new Sticky, but a Sticky with a couple of lessons that he might have put in his back pocket. We'll see what that's about. And I'm just really happy that Tom had a moment to unapologetically, like I said, defend himself and really show people in the community what he's about in a way that they may not have before. See the human side of Tom, not the videos that he puts out regularly, which are enjoyable as well. But this was a different side, and that's it. I'm done with that. So I enjoyed it.
All right. I've never spoken about this since it happened on this channel because I haven't really done live streams that weren't C3 involved since this happened. I purposely try to stay away from any kind of drama talk of any nature because we were fundraising for an event, and I wanted to stay away from all that during that time. So
Okay.
this is the first time I'm publicly really talking about what I saw there, and I'll premise this by saying that I know both Sticky and Tom,
Right.
I'm perfectly okay with both of them. I don't have any issues with either one of them. I've always had a really good, coexistence with everybody that we're talking about. However, I will say this: that stream was a perfect social experiment to
Mm.
show you how full of shit the community is.
Ooh, let's elaborate on that. I know where you're going. I want to hear it from you. Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, because I can't tell you how many people were openly haters of Tom.
Right.
They're openly hating on him.
Right.
Even when I brought him on and I interviewed him on the same exact program that we're on right now, they were openly hating on him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not to his face, but like, I hate Tom, the mystery, but I hate that guy. He's hyping up everything. What you've heard it all before.
Yeah, of course.
All of a sudden, he gets into a public thing on a stream with somebody they hate even more.
Mm.
And now they love him. Now he's their champion.
So were the haters of Tom also haters of Sticky? Or I thought by default, if you were a hater of Tom, you were a supporter of Sticky because Sticky was championing the haters of Tom. How did that dynamic come to be?
No, I believe there were a lot of haters of Sticky that hated Tom. I'm sorry, the haters of Tom, they hated the Sticky even more than they hated Tom.
Wow. Okay.
And you could go back into a lot of chats and a lot of messages and a lot of commentary that's been done over the years, and you could track exactly what I'm saying. It is ridiculous how hypocritical a lot of people are. And the fact that they needed somebody to come out there and champion them, like a lot of people took ownership. Oh, he got him back for us. No, he didn't. He protected himself, and good for him for doing that. So
Rightfully so. Absolutely.
but he didn't do it for you. He's not your champion. You don't need a champion. Defend yourselves, damn it! Like what the hell, But
no, I love that, and we'll talk more about that too. But no. So if I may for a moment, so you saw people they changed their tune, right? That's what people say, right? They changed their tune. They saw Tom on that stream being victorious, and they took the side of the victor. They wanted to be on the winning team, so they saw, Sticky getting whatever we saw happen. Sticky was getting a little flustered, wasn't quite as quick as Tom was. And you're saying some people flipped the script and decided to be on the winning team for that moment.
Yeah, that's basically what they did. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
I actually just put that quote in a story the other day. Interestingly enough, not related to this, but it was because, and I'm going to bring this up. I'm sorry, really quickly. So obviously, CBCS is in a lawsuit with a couple of individuals, and it pertains to PSA. PSA is not actually a part of the lawsuit. Shout out PSA. Shout out CBS as well, CBCS as well. And there was this joke in a couple of group chats that I'm in with a couple of friends that I think critically about this stuff with. And it's like, that morning, CGC was probably having a good morning, or some of the higher ups of CGC were probably pretty happy to see that there was something annoying happening to PSA. And then I thought to myself, is this a moment where CBCS and CGC feel like they're on the same side? Because CGC doesn't want PSA to come grade comics. CBCS doesn't want any of their employees to be over there helping PSA grade comics. So CGC being CBCS's original enemy, you have the enemy of my enemy is my friend, ? But I said it with a question mark, and the reason being, if CBCS makes things difficult for PSA, that is actually, this is like my exact words, that's exactly actually doing a favor for CGC. CGC becoming stronger actually is bad for CBCS. So there's no winning for CBCS in this, most likely. And we could elaborate on that. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. These are my opinions only. But CBCS is just strengthening CGC for the moment, which inevitably will lead to a more difficult time for CBCS. That's enough of me rambling on too many acronyms, but I found that interesting.
So listen, we're on that topic already. Since we're on that, let's get into it for 1 second, because we just said the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So which one of these grading companies is your enemy? That's the enemy of whose friend?
Oh, companies are not my enemies. A broken system is my enemy. And it oftentimes sounds like it's CGC, 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 but that's just a nature of the fact that CGC is 90% of the market, majority of the books graded, majority of the books traded. So when there's a problem in the system of third-party grading, it just so happens that it's generally coming from CGC because they're the only show in town at the moment. So it's not that I have a company as an enemy. That's absurd. It's the system, the practices, so on and so forth. There could be more than one company taking part in activities that I think are unfair to the collector, but certain companies I just don't talk about because it's a waste of time to talk about. There are other grading companies that it's a waste of time to talk about. They're not enough of a factor. They don't pose as much of a threat. But when you have sort of a monopolized environment and you have one company that has majority of the goods being transacted out there, well, that's the biggest threat. So that's why the conversation goes that way most often.
I don't know. I do see that there's a bias though. Right? Like, okay.
Well,
I know
who
that
am I in support of then?
Is it like I got a feeling that it's not the company itself that you have to like CGC. I think it's more the fact that the way the market has dictated and turned itself into a monopoly in many ways, and they're the only pretty much game in town that you've directed everything on there. But the question is,
I've had criticisms about CBCS too. They just make less of an impact because it's less of the market.
Because they're insignificant to you.
They're less significant to me.
Okay, what would make them more significant?
More market power, being more of a factor on the market, more of a threat to the overall economy of third-party graded collectibles, comic books being the primary item.
Can you see the public ever allowing them that opportunity to become that?
Oh, that's such a loaded question. They have to first allow themselves the opportunity before the public could get behind them.
They are their worst enemy. CBCS by far is their worst enemy.
Look at us agreeing on everything, CJ. Yes.
Yeah, well, listen, it's hard to disagree with the fact that CBS is self-sabotaging all the way through. They had so many opportunities to take a bigger control over the market share, and they dropped the ball every single time. Their PR is shit.
Well, recently it was good. Recently it was fucking good, but it was handed to them on a.
Why was it good? Tell me why it was good. Because they're making fun of their competitor. But shouldn't they fix their own problems before they're making fun of anybody?
Absolutely, but you have to take every little piece that you can. And if you could get a little bit of fun out of some publicity, a little bit more attention, you have to take that too. Just because there's a larger problem to address doesn't mean you don't take advantage of the smaller crumbs that come your way as well. You have to take it all. And they took the low-hanging fruit, pun intended, because it's fucking banana. But at least they did that. Yes, they have greater problems to solve. We can't see them. I have no idea what their back office looks like. I have no idea how much Beckett actually cares about CBCS. Does Beckett even protect their own primary brand, BGS, the card grading service, as they should? I'm not sure what's happening there as a business. There are greater issues for them to resolve, certainly. But when they could take advantage of an opportunity and put themselves in the public eye in a more favorable way, they should do that. It's right for them to do that. Their marketing department, whoever the fuck it was, advised them, or whoever cooked it up, that was the right way to go. And whoever signed off on it, kudos to them. That was absolutely the right move. Just because there's a better move doesn't mean you don't make that move.
I think they fed into the ignorance and the gullibility of the public that is using their products.
You're absolutely right. And I love that you said that, because that is one of the issues. One of the issues is a lot of the collectors, and this is not an insult to anybody, it's just a matter of fact. We live in there's a lot of naive sort of qualities in collecting. There's a lot of gullible qualities. There's also this desire to just have this be a feel-good environment and kind of have your blinders on to what actually might be going on, right? And so, yes, these companies realize that they're every time you're marketing, you're manipulating the psychology of your consumer. They know what they're doing. That moment was just to entertain the people that are already that are already in a place to be laughing at Bendgate, Bananagate, so on and so forth. Exactly what it's supposed to do, it did. They were feeding into the gullibility of the community, of course, but that was the genius in doing that.
I didn't find that be genius. I quite honestly, when I saw that Bananagate, and they did a couple other little swipes at CGC as well.
The proof is in the numbers, my friend. The proof is in the numbers. You see how much that reel was shared, how much it was talked about. That's the victory there. That is a vanity metric, and that was the reason for doing it.
The proof is going to be in the numbers of how much they generate an extra slabbage in this upcoming year. That's
This
where
is
the
true.
numbers are going to matter, not in the views. If they want to become a social media presence and become a comedian, go ahead and do that. If that's where they're going to generate their money from, God bless them. And
Well,
if
yeah,
Beckett, they want to turn their grading company into a social media site of comedy, go ahead and
yeah.
do that.
I don't
Then go
disagree
hire
with you.
some good writers and go ahead and do it. But I'll be honest with you, it infuriated me when I saw that because I'm like, you guys can't even pick up a phone
I
and do
know.
customer service, and you're going to
I
sit
know.
there and talk about Bananagate?
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
that I
So
don't have, I got my problems with CGC. I got a lot of problems with CGC as far as how
yeah.
they work themselves. But I will say this much:
Mhm.
they don't get into the mudslinging.
Who?
CGC.
Well, you don't punch down. That's not a good look.
Well, how
Who are
they
they going to throw
punching
mud
really
at? They're
down?
the top.
I
Not the
mean,
top.
how they really punching down up until recently, before they got bought out by Blackstone. They were, even though they had the bigger market share, they were the smaller company. Beckett is a monster as far as
Wait, wait.
companies are concerned.
Okay, hold on. Well, first, I want to have an opportunity to just say I agree with you. Yes, there are larger problems with CBCS, but I think we disagree that I think them putting that reel out was fun, and I think that was a success in its own right. But I completely agree with you that even though those vanity metrics, which I call them, they succeeded in a successful reel, a little bit of publicity, the real success comes in the bottom line numbers, their submissions, their profit. You are absolutely right. I do not disagree with you. And I think they're probably going to fall short in that department. They got a lot of work to do there. But now, catching up to where you're at right now, what was the last thing that you just said?
Well, Beckett bought out
That part.
CBCS
That part.
well before CGC was all bought out by a monster themselves.
But CGC was already owned by a monster. That monster was called CCG.
It wasn't as big as Beckett was.
Do we know that for a fact? Because Beckett was on a rapid decline. You know, Beckett at one point in time was bigger than PSA. They're
Yeah.
in PSA shadow now.
Well, there was a moment where Beckett was much bigger than
I would assume you're right. I would assume you're right, and that's probably. And I don't know those numbers, but I would assume you are right. So I will agree with you there.
The only point I'm trying to make is during the times where they had the situation where they were CBCS was sending people's entire packages and collections over to people's houses.
That's crazy, man.
And had somebody publicly show them how he was counterfeiting and sending in signature series books to them, and they were authenticating them. You didn't see CGC sitting there and making fun of them and have social media funnies and that kind of stuff. They just went on with their business.
I wonder what the difference was there in dynamic. Maybe, well, I mean, it's still CGC was still bigger than CBCS. So
As
maybe
far as
there's
comic book grading, but not as a company itself.
well, no, but we are talking about comic book grading. If we're talking about CGC making fun of CBCS, we are talking about it in the context of comic book grading. And of course, CGC is more successful in that lane and earning more money and earning more customers. So maybe there was still an element of feeling like, well, we don't have to make fun of CBCS. They're doing it to themselves. Let's just continue to win, take the higher road. And actually, we'll talk more about this a little bit, but I do feel like the culture of CGC over the decades has changed very rapidly. In the last few years, it's changed even more. So maybe the culture was still one of like sincerity and integrity at that moment in time, where I feel like a little bit of that has been shed recently. We'll talk more about that, but that's an interesting question. I don't have an answer. I don't know what the dynamics were at that point, but you're right. I guess they didn't feel the need to attack CBCS. I still think it's amusing that CBCS made the banana reel. They didn't need to make 4 or 5 of them, but I loved that they made the first one.
Well, they basically hey, people like this. Let's keep doing this and distract people from our crappy product. That's basically what it came down to.
Yeah, I mean, wait, who CBCS's product's crappy?
The product itself is not bad. The service is this crap.
And it's so true. Their service is crap. Their product is actually good. Their case is superior to CGC's case in many, many ways. And
absolutely. Their
Their
cases are like rocks. They're built like bricks over there. They have no problem with that whatsoever. The biggest problem is PR. Horrible on PR.
Yeah.
Customer service is abysmal. Abysmal. When I say abysmal,
that's what I hear.
Like if you have a problem and you're trying to get them on the phone, it's a big problem with them. And then the last but not least is their turnaround times are horrible.
Are they? Okay.
Absolutely horrible. And they have no excuse. I mean, during pandemic time, I get it. Everybody was backed up during that time.
Yeah.
But what's their excuse now? Why is CGC turning around and sending your stuff in less than a month back, and then the CBCS is taking 4 months for the same type of order?
Yeah. So, and again, we would need to see behind the curtains to know what's going on there. But I have heard it in not as clear terms, but like in these mysterious ways. People that have had experience working for CBCS, they won't tell me directly. Like they won't tell me exactly. They don't feel like completely just like airing CBCS out. But I do hear these whispers often about like, dude, you can't imagine what a shit show it is over there, and that just really scares me. Like I honestly can't imagine what their operation is like over there. And I just guess it's not good. That's why,
Well, I look at it like this. I think CBCS is the greatest enemy to themselves, and I think they missed the boat as far as ever being able to compete in a proper fashion. Unless they
yeah,
sell to another company and
yeah,
rebrand completely, I
yeah,
can't see them resurrecting and becoming a major player. Now, PSA, now that's something different.
it is.
They can instantaneously become a player in the game, and they can actually do something really, really meaningful as far as leveling the playing field.
Agreed.
That they have the opportunity. CBCS, I think. Sorry, you guys could keep making your banana videos, and you could keep making fun of everybody,
It's not
and
enough.
you can keep losing all the people's Grail comics over in like Dallas Expo in New York and all kind of different places. Everybody that knows, they know what's going on with that. I don't know if you know what's going on with that, but they've had
No, not
situations where
totally.
they literally freaking would take submissions in to do in show grading.
Hmm.
Tell the people come back on Sunday, and then they lose the comics.
This is not a recent thing that we're talking about, is it?
Recent. This is happened just a few months ago. We have a good friend of the channel, who that had a X-Men #1
Unfortunate.
that was lost, and then it took them months,
And
like
this
2
is,
months to get it back. And you know what the biggest slap in the face was? They never even said I'm sorry.
yeah, that is a slap in the face. And this goes back to, earlier on when you were talking about the bias. It's a broken third party grading system. It's not about the company. Each companies have their problems. Some companies are just, bigger. And so yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that, but I agree with you. I don't think CBCS is in a position to catch up or to regain the lead. And I don't want to say this because I want them to succeed if they want to succeed as the company that we as collectors need, but it just feels like they're just slowly sort of becoming obsolete. That's the sense I have. I don't know if that's completely accurate. Could they be saved? Yeah. The other day, Steve Borak was in a chat with someone. I will remember in a moment whose stream it was, and I asked the question. I said, is there anything that can save CBCS? And he didn't answer it the way that I wanted him to really get in the weeds with the answer. He didn't. He was very safe
He's
with
a
his answer.
politician. He's not going to say it.
Yeah, he was safe with his answer. A big shout out to Steve. I appreciate Steve a lot. And I understand, I appreciate Steve a lot. And he said, sure, Beckett can save them. And it's like, well, that's not an answer. That's like saying, yeah, if they wanted to, they could do something. That's not the answer. I don't even know I don't know Beckett's financials. I don't know how much Beckett cares. I don't know how much CBCS makes, how much it's worth it for them to pour more into it. But I did see something else interesting lately. Friend of ours did a video and he was unboxing. I want to remember his YouTube name. A lot of names in my head. I apologize, guys. But he was unboxing a Beckett. It was a book slab, a manga. Is it a manga? I forget what it was. A different format of book. Something that I don't deal in, so I don't have the vocabulary down. So forgive me for sounding ignorant.
Well, they've been doing pulp or manga. They've been doing
it was
that.
Pulp or a manga. It was something related to a comic book. It absolutely was not a card, right? It's something that you would assume would be encapsulated under the CBCS brand. That's what you would assume. But this thing was encapsulated under the Beckett brand. It was a book.
Oh, hold on. I think I know who you're talking about. Who was it that did
I
that?
did. I did a reel. I did. He did a story about a TMNT book. I did a reel on it. The reel did really well. What's his name? What the
I
hell?
know exactly who you're talking about. It's it'll come back to me, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
No,
That
I
was
got it for you. I'll get it for you right now. This here. His name is good guy. Mark Spector. Mark Spector
yeah,
Comics.
Mark
Video
Spector. Yeah, that's who it
unboxing.
was.
That's right.
He had
Shout
done
out.
a video here on YouTube. I saw it not that long ago.
Beautiful slab. It's a Beckett branded slab, but it's a book. Wouldn't you assume that would be a CBCS branded product? I would.
I like the Beckett
Me
branding
too.
better than the CBCS. Quite
Me
be
too.
quite honest with you.
That B with the star, that logo that they recently did, maybe it's a revision from a few years ago. Big fucking fan of that B. I think it looks great.
Get rid of CBCS. Just go Beckett.
It could work,
Yeah,
man. But
yeah. Listen, we talked about this a little bit behind screen.
yeah,
My thing is not bashing companies as much as giving them proper solutions of how to get it done. And the
yeah,
only
you
way
said that. Yeah.
the only way I could obviously in any way see CBCS resurrecting in any way possible if they publicly go on and take ownership over the shitty stuff that they've done over the past few years and say,
Mm-hmm.
you know what, we got the best slab, we got the best quality protection in the market. We got we got one of the best teams as far as grading, and there's no question as far as our integrity is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
We dropped the ball. We've been shitty with our customer service. We haven't done great in PR, and our turnaround times haven't been great.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to work on fixing that, but we're going to take this slab and make it mean something to everybody that's our customer. If they publicly come out and say something like that as a campaign, I'm not talking about one time. Sorry, go and actively do a year-long campaign like that, where you're showing people how great your product is and how remorseful you are for the shitty service you've been providing everybody and
Mm-hmm.
fucking with people over the years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? People are going to start respecting that. They're going to start respecting that, and they're going to take it a different way. That's the only way I could ever see CBCS starting to get some cachet back, because
So
it's not
yeah,
going to come back from the values on eBay. It's not going to come back that way. As far as
so
them having a higher value slab, the only
and
way they're
so
going to get that to get people to believe in them again.
yeah,
That's the
so
only way it's going to happen.
when they come out with that emotion, when they come out and share that sentiment of we fucked up, and they show that vulnerability, that's going to bring the human compassion component in play for them, which our community of collectors, we can change our minds about who we forgive and what we forget, right? And so they can win that battle, but then their action has to follow through, right?
Oh
And
yeah, I'm
so
not saying words
no,
without
of course.
meaning. They have
No,
to
I'm just
back up their words.
yeah, I'm just and let's take this back to when you said you don't want to bash companies, and I don't feel like, I mean, yeah, some things sound like I'm bashing them, but they make it fucking easy. I'm not, you're
Because
bending a bunch of
it sounds
fucking
like I'm
books. That's
bashing
what you're doing.
companies too. A lot of
Yeah.
people could take what I say and misinterpret it, but I'm being just open,
It,
and we're having a conversation, talking things the way they are.
if it's not fact based, maybe it's bashing. But if I can show you the examples and I could, show you the pains, it's not bashing. And the thing about this is, wanting to provide solutions, we do that as well. I'll give an example. If we don't know what's causing the problem, we can't provide the solution, right? If we don't have enough transparency on what the actual the broken part of the mechanism is, or whatever is not working correctly, we can't provide the solution, because then we're speculating on what's wrong, and then we're saying something out of our ass about how to fix it, and we don't even know if that's actually the thing that's wrong. So providing solution is difficult unless we have the pieces that we need. So when we take this back to December, when I first found that Mark Jeweller's book that had been switched out for a lower grade copy and then it sold for $16,000, I took that personally, because those are the sort of books that I deal in. So I recognized that there's a scam going on. Then we started digging, and this scam is a multi-million-dollar scam that spanned back a couple of decades, or a decade or so. And part of that scam, the easiest way for the scammer to get away with what they were doing was taking advantage of the reholder process, because you had the reholder process over at CGC that was not about grading the book, not about re-examining the book. It was just about a way to get an extra $40 or $50 or so. So it was in a different department, right? It was the books were not supervised. It's the book comes in, give it its custom label, whatever, reholder it and send it out. And so people realized, oh shit, no one's paying attention here. We can slip lower grade books in, get a new holder. It's going to have the same grade on it. It's going to be pretty re-encapsulated. We can sell it as a higher grade item. So we were able to provide a solution there because we knew what the mistake was. And the solution was you have to regrade every damn book. You have to re-examine. You don't have to regrade it, but you have to re-examine it. You have to make sure that it is the book that was originally graded. We provided the solution because we knew the problem. If we don't know the problem, we can't provide the solution. Right now, books and magazines now, as of yesterday, magazines are being bent. We made a fuss about it, right? So a couple of months ago, people started talking about their books are being bent. No one really cared. No one really heard about it. Few people made, mention of it on YouTube. I started to take notice. I cared, but it wasn't affecting me personally because I've been on a bit of a hiatus from grading because I'm not happy with the infrastructure of grading at the moment. And it didn't become sort of like this large concern until it started happening more and more and more. Now, how are we supposed to provide a solution? We don't know what's causing the problem. We have to make them aware of the problem, let them know that this fucking sucks for us and we're going to stop submitting if this keeps going on. They have to find the solution. So they come out and they put this half-assed statement out there about how first they said this is acceptable. Your bent book is fine, which is fucking stupid to begin with. And so then that goes on and then more problems occur. More people get upset. Then they say, all right, we realize that one of our inner wells is the problem. We've stopped using that inner well. We've replaced it with a larger inner well, which in fact could lead to more problems. It's not the real fix to the solution. It's a Band-Aid, which is another issue I have with them. They use Band-Aids. When something gets publicly showcased as an issue, they try to take the quickest way of repairing it, not the proper way of repairing it, which later leads to more problems. And so in any case, they said, hey, we're done here. We fixed it. We're not going to have this problem again. As of yesterday, magazine holders are being returned with bent books. How are we supposed to give them a solution? We don't know what's bending the damn books. The solution is they need to figure it out. Our solution is to make enough of a fuss about it for them to feel it in their bottom line so they fucking fix it. Because at the end of the day, this just screws collectors. That's all that happens. Shit rolls downhill. Dealers are going to keep their mouths shut, keep selling the books. The bends are okay. CGC says the bends are okay. It's that end collector that gets fucked. It's that innocent collector that's buying one or two books every now and then, saving up for them, and now it's in their collection. They want to avoid confrontation. They feel bad. They don't know who to tell it to. No one's going to listen to them. They don't have thousands of people on YouTube or on Instagram. That's who needs the voice. Fuck the solution. We need to first talk about the problem in a way that gets heard, and it's up to them to find the solution because we don't know what's causing the thing. I'm sorry.
So
man,
what do you think is the problem though? Like I can't understand.
I'm not the engineer.
Is the machine winding it up too much, like laminating it too? Like what the hell's going on, and it's causing this bend to happen?
I don't know. And
is it a different type of plastic they're using in the weld that bends? What is it exactly I don't get it. Like I don't understand. And I'll tell you something else. They could avoid a lot of these problems if they give us a soft slab solution. And I've been saying this for years.
Wait, what's that? What do you mean?
You know how they give you the whole case and stuff like that? Not everybody necessarily wants the fucking case. They want to get it graded. So why can't they just seal it in an inner well that's like a strong mylar kind of thing with the grade on it right in there and send it to you like that? We don't have to worry about bends. We don't have to worry about anything. We just take it and then put it in our short box and we're done for the day.
You mean it's a semi-rigid? It's something you could actually bend and flex?
How's the well that's in there? You felt the wells how they are. It's not like a poly bag. It's a more rigid kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, but that's on the inside. We're not able to manipulate.
I'm talking about something like that has the grade right onto the freaking onto that plastic, and they send it to you like that. We don't need the case. We don't need to have all that shit.
I don't know if that would be hard enough to be sufficient because the idea of certifying it with the grade is that it's supposed to. This is not how it works. These cases do not actually protect the book or preserve the book. Damage can happen within the case. But if it's soft enough, you can actually damage it quite easily, which means that you can't actually trust that grade if it's something that can be too easily damaged. But I get what you're saying. I've
got cases back from CGC where the freaking well is stuck in between the freaking plastic that snaps together, and the comic is getting bent because it's like snapped into the plastic the corner.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just have the inner well that's sealed with a freaking grade right on it, and we're call it a day.
You mean it's kind of what we have.
And there's a lot of people like me out there too. One, it's easier to store. It takes less space.
Yeah.
If you make that plastic rigid enough, why? Is there anything wrong with having a nice, thick, strong mylar type of material? Those hold the books just well. Archival mylars work just as well as far as storing. It might not be as hard as a CGC case or a CBCS case, but if you properly store it in your boxes, you have no problem.
Oh, I agree with you completely. I mean, my favorite storage from my PC books is not encapsulated. I encapsulate to prove a point sometimes if it's a really rare book and no one believes I found it in a certain grade. So it's for that, or it's to, to sell. Those are the two primary reasons. My personal collection are books that I self-grade. I know what they're worth. I know how scarce they are, and they're in a full back and a Mylar. That's how I protect my personal collection, right? But I'm also not, yeah, that's how I protect them. And but
So
I'm
they
just
could
trying
give us an option. There could be the people that want the slabs, but they could give us
Carlito,
a soft slab. They could give us a soft slab option as well. And we don't have to worry about these banana gates. We don't have to worry about any of this shit. Just send it back to us graded. Because the number one reason that we should be sending these books into these grading company is the grade itself, not the encapsulation. That's how I think of it.
I agree with you. This is my first time hearing the opinion of a soft slab, and I'm just trying to, it's going to take me a minute to compute it. It's going to take me a time to, it just depends on what that slab is. If that slab is protected against damage, well, then it serves what it's the purpose of an encapsulated book. Whatever it's graded at, it's supposed to be preserved as. No one should be able to manipulate the book from outside of the encapsulation to make it effectively not match the grade. So as long as it serves that purpose, it serves the purpose, right? So yes. And these hard slabs, what have you, they're not safe. They need to reinvent their slabs. CBCS is a better product. CGC needs to work on theirs. And whatever that option is, if it's something that you're describing, great. As long as it does what it's supposed to, protect the integrity of the grade applied to the item so that they do not, part from one another.
Well, when you send a book yourself to any of these grading companies,
Yeah.
what's your primary reason why you're sending it?
Oh, so I reflected on this a moment ago. So I don't grade books to protect them. You know how people say, I like to grade books to protect them. Not me. I protect them myself. Yeah. And then some people say, I like to grade books because I like to display them. I don't display books. Books are out while I'm engaging with them. Sometimes they stay out for a while, but they're also in a room with absolutely no sunlight. There is no sunlight in this room. Most of my collection is in this room. Expensive books are at a bank. Now, so I don't grade them to protect them. I don't grade them to display them. Those are two reasons I hear often. Those aren't mine. One of the reasons that I grade books is because, for instance, and I talk about this book often because I love this book, and most recently I just sold one. There's only 3 of these that exist. It's a 9.8 of a Malibu Sun 13 Error. When I had this book raw, I knew it was a 9.8, but this book is worth over $15,000. As a raw that I say is a 9.8, is someone going to give me 15 grand for it? No. Am I going to sell it for less than what a 9.8 of that book just sold for on Heritage, which is $14,400? No. So what do I have to do in order to actually get the value, even though the book is already what I'm telling you it is? But now I need a third-party certification company that has some sort of trust, which is an illusion of trust at this point. It's a false sense of trust at this point, but it still conveys on the secondary market. So I need them to encapsulate this book and write what I already know about it on that label so that I can get that price history price for it. All these pricing services, they don't tell you the price of a raw book. They don't tell you the price of CBCS. They tell you the price of a CGC book. So I need it to be a CGC 9.8 so I can get more than what the last CGC 9.8 sold for. So that's one of my reasons. It's to prove.
It's basically the neutral party appraiser, unbiased, giving their estimate.
If that book was going to stay in my personal collection, perhaps I grade it, perhaps I don't. That book was an objective of mine to say that I found it, I did it, I made the 9.8, and I sold it. That was my goal. So in order to accomplish my goal, I had to utilize a third-party grading service. CGC was the only option that I had to actually get that value. There was a great deal of risk in me doing that. There should not be that much risk. There should not be that much stress and anxiety associated, but there was. Fortunately, everything worked out. I graded that book many, many months ago. Did not have a bend. It's a beautifully encapsulated book. Credit to them and credit to, myself for finding a beautiful copy and having the balls to take the risk. I shouldn't credit myself. I feel bad for saying that. That's weird, knock on wood. But So that's one of my reasons. Another reason might be, even if I'm not going to sell the book, perhaps just to, it's kind of like a modern day lamination. It's an accomplishment. If there's a book that everyone says, man, this thing, you can't find a 9.8 of it. You'll never find a 9.8 of it. And it's a book I don't intend on selling, but sometimes to prove that point, I'll grade that book. But they're few and far between, because a lot of times I feel validated in proving the point to myself anyway. I've got 9.9s here that are not encapsulated. Are they 9.9s? Absolutely. 1000% they are 9.9s. Why am I not sending them to CGC? Well, for one, I'm not ready to sell those books. They're mine. Second, I don't want to play the stupid bullshit game you have to play at CGC to earn a 9.9. You can't send one fucking book to CGC that's clearly a 9.9 and get a 9.9. You might. Chances are you're going to get a 9.8. You have
Well,
to send the fuck
that
ton of
is
them.
my biggest problem with my absolute biggest problem with CGC itself, as far as grading is concerned, is the fact that they will not give me notes on a 9.8, on a 9.9, and a 9.6. I want to see notes. Why is this not a 9.9? Why is this not why is it a 9.8 and not a 10?
Yeah.
Why? I need to understand that. And there is a part that I feel that they're doing it to avoid any kind of lawsuits going down the line, because I could assure you if you take 10 9.8s and 10 9.9s of the same exact freaking book over in a court, in a federal court, and they break it open and they have all the top appraisers with all their little monocles and all their bullshit equipment, and they sit and they look at all that, they're going to see maybe no difference is happening between one to the other. So why is it graded one to the other? Now, the other thing is, you're also charging at a different rate, because now we're talking about percentages when it comes to higher priced books. So that's another issue in itself. How are you?
Conflict there, yeah.
There's a major conflict, because how are you charging me something that you're basing as a 9.9 when I have no proof for why it's a 9.9?
Yeah.
It's great that I have a 9.9, but why is it not a 10?
Right.
Why?
Right.
I should have some kind of notation. Oh, because of this binary split, right? Micro split that's right down the corner, whatever the fuck it is.
Right.
I need to know a reason why, because now I got to sit there. If I got a 9.8 and I know for a fact I got a 9.9, I got to crack this thing and resubmit it, and then crack again and resubmit it, and play that game.
And it's risk every time you ship it. It's risk every time a slab is shipped back to you. You shouldn't have to play that fucking game. I agree with you completely.
That is, so put the fucking notes right on there, and there's no dispute. If you tell me it's because a millimeter freaking dot that's right in the corner of the thing that I can't see without a microscope, that's the reason why, fine, so be it. That's the reason why. I need to know why it's getting a certain grade or the other, because that's why you're getting paid. You're getting paid to grade something, and the in order to validate your grade, you have to tell us why. If you go and I'm in the real estate business, and we hire an appraiser to do an appraisal on a piece of property or a house or a building or et cetera, guess what? You're going to get a full report from that appraiser telling you every single micro detail that's affiliated with that property that they're appraising. Now, you're not going to get that with a comic book, but if you're talking about hairline little things that are influencing one book from being a 9.9 to 10 and a 9.8 or 9.6, then you better believe you should be putting that in there, especially if you're talking about books of higher value.
I agree with you. I mean, I totally support what you would want. Is the same thing that I would want in that regard. Absolutely. It's one of the things that I've been trying to impress upon the people that I speak to at PSA. It's like, you really have a real opportunity here to come out and really earn a lot of favor in the community by making sure that everything has graders notes. Just if there was an imperfection that made that grade what it is, just make note of the fucking imperfection, please. And so that's an ongoing conversation that they're having over there. And as much as I can interject or impress my opinion upon them, I do. There's a conversation currently about, they're really actually excited about making sure everything has graders notes. Absolutely excited about that. Anything that's not perfect is going to come with a grader note. The second step to that is, PSA has an interesting way of going about graders notes as it is. They've introduced graders notes on certain cards, but the graders notes are only available to the submitter. And so at the moment, I'm trying to get that victory there, where I want the graders notes to be available to everybody, not just the submitter. I don't think it should be looked at that way. I don't think it should be behind a paywall, which is not something they're considering. I'm just making sure that I say that. I don't want it to be behind a paywall, and I don't want it to be limited. Anybody that has a cert number should be able to see the graders notes. So hopefully they do that. They have a real opportunity to resolve a pain point for the consumer.
That goes both ways, and I'll tell you why. Okay. I agree that if you're a paid member with PSA or one of these grading companies, that you should have access to looking up certain numbers. However, if you're not, that should not be open and available to anybody that wants to. And I'll tell you why.
Wait, one more time. Start from the beginning. One more time. You said, just give me the sentence from the beginning, please.
Okay, so I'm with you. If you're a member or you're a customer with one of these grading companies, to be able to look up a certain number and be able to get the info. However, if you're not a member or a subscriber, or whatever you want to call it, with these companies, you should not have the access to get it. And I'll tell you why. The reason is that person that paid to authenticate it paid a certain amount of money to authenticate that book. You should not, as a open person in the public, without paying anything, get private information, because that's private information that was given between that grading company and the person that's the customer that put that out there. Just like if you appraise a piece of property or a piece of jewelry or some kind of other collectible, public doesn't have open access to this information. Only the people that are within that subscription base or membership base or whatever the case is, they're the ones that they're paying for that access to have that. So there's a little bit of a difference when it comes to that. If I pay to go get something certified, why do you get the access to that when you didn't pay anything? I paid for that certification.
Well, let me ask you this question then, because I'm not.
It should be up to me. It should be up to me to be able to, like, they could give unique codes to the person that owns the book to be able to give to people as temporary access to go look up the notes, but these should not be openly available out there. I should be able to give that out to somebody because I paid for it.
So that's the first time I've heard anybody say that as a concern. Like, I paid for this book. I don't want you to know what the grades are. So I don't feel like that's a common concern.
Well, I look at it like this. Why should you get something that I had to pay for?
I hear you, but I've never heard anyone else say that. So I don't really think anyone is thinking about it that way. So I don't.
Well, I do.
No, and I appreciate that you do. So now let's just say that we made that change to appease the few people that feel that way, right? And now let's think about the greater problem that that's going to create. Books don't stay with the one individual that grades the book. They sell, and they sell, and they sell, and they sell. So when it's traded hand 5 times, you're not going to be able to get graders notes now.
And every time that book is traded, it should be registered with that company that graded it, that it's under new ownership.
Got you. So you're looking at it like a Carfax report. If I'm buying a car, I'm paying for the Carfax.
Bingo.
Okay, I hear you.
Bingo. You hit it right on the head. And that way,
to get there, we got there.
And that way, you also avoid monkey business from happening, where people, they break open slabs, they use different certifications and all that stuff and copies.
Question for you.
Because every time there's a chain.
Yeah.
There's a chain that you bought the book, you graded it through I don't know, PSA, CGC, it doesn't matter the company. Then you sold it to me.
Yeah.
I go and register it. I own this book now through Manu sold this to me. Being done. Now there's a chain.
Yeah.
There's no counterfeit. It's harder to counterfeit things that way.
So I'm following your train of thought. Like, it's very easy for me to follow that. But then I'm imagining other scenarios, right? Like, as a buyer of many books, some days I'm on eBay and I am, considering 15 books at one time, and I'm putting in a certain number. I'm looking at the grader's notes. I'm matching them to the pictures, making sure that it's no swapperoo. I'm taking a look and identifying, is there a grade bump opportunity here? The grader's notes play a big part in me making those decisions. I'm not going to pay for 15 graders notes just to make a decision on 15 books. So that's a bit problematic.
No, you shouldn't have to. But however, the seller should be able to have an access code to be able to provide for you to go check it out. So you say, listen, Journey, I'm interested in buying these books from you, but I want to see the grade notes. No problem. I get the temporary code, send it over to you. You go check out the notes.
That's a solution there.
Because I'm selling them to you.
Now, and but taking it back to the beginning, you're what's the word? Hold on. The word is your opposition to the idea of it being universally available is still that one idea where I paid for this grading, you shouldn't know the details behind it.
Yeah, because you're basically charging somebody to make something public information. And you shouldn't pay something that's going to become public information.
So the grade is public though. Like now
the grade is public, but the notes are not public.
So, but what about with restored books then? If my book is restored, I get a purple label. Do you want to take the same stance on that and say, I don't want people to know what the restoration is?
If I'm keeping the book and it's my book to have, it's none of your business why I have a restored book.
Then all you have to do is keep your cert number private. That's all you have to do.
Well, yeah, but if they happen to see it through a picture or something like that, they could look it up.
No, you cover the cert number. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, there's that. But, I'm just saying.
No, I hear you.
But I also feel about restoration, too, the same way I feel about the 9.9s, where if they say slight amount of color touch, they should tell me where the hell the slight amount of color touch was on the book.
Thank goodness. I agree with you there completely. No, I've had color touch no, you're right. I've had to locate the color touch. No, yeah, that drives me bananas, man. Tell me where the damn color touch is. Tell me, and maybe sometimes they do, but in my experiences, I don't remember them having done that. Listen, I know you don't like getting sidetracked. I want to address something really quickly. It's just a simple thing. It's real quick. Splash Page Comics, hello. He says, okay, why is the Marvel sign upside down? You might have already covered that. I didn't cover that tonight, but people do ask me often. And believe it or not, I am not making a statement about anything. I am not a political type of dude. I do not give a shit what someone thinks about the MCU. I give a flying fuck. This is not a statement. I thought it was cool. I thought it was expected for it to be the right way, but why not just turn it the fuck upside down? I think it's cool. No one is going to confuse it for anything else. The Marvel sign is like the Coca-Cola logo. Left, right, upside down, backwards. We know what it is. I just think it's more fascinating that way. That's all that is. But people oftentimes think that I'm making a statement. Those aren't the type of statements that I don't make those kind of statements.
Well, I didn't ask you because I just assumed that you're the Antichrist and you wanted to have it upside down.
I love Marvel. I love Marvel through and through. I just think it's awesome that it's upside. I think it's cooler that way. That's all.
I know I probably threw you off a little bit as far as my thinking, as far as how CGC needs to conduct themselves when it comes to that. And it's not the popular opinion, but I look at it from a business point of view. I buy something. I'm the one that bought it.
Yeah. I hear you.
It should not be available to everybody else unless I choose to make it available to everybody else.
I graded an Ultimate Fallout 4 9.8 Newstand, right? This book is worth tens and tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. The only person that knew that cert number was the buyer of the book. Well, when I was advertising the book for sale most recently, the cert number was made public because I'm not going to sell you something with a secret attached to it. You have to do your due diligence. You need the cert number. But while that book was in my collection, just showcased as an accomplishment, that cert number was covered up because I agree with you. And something that's that rare, you don't need to keep track of who owns what cert number. There's only a handful of them. There's a lot of advantage in knowing where they are. I'd like to keep that advantage for myself.
Yeah, and especially like what you just said, if you have something so rare, is so different from everybody else, and you might be the only 9.9 or the 9.8 standing, and there's something very unique in those notes that made yours stand out more than others. That's information you don't need to be putting out there that somebody else can try to duplicate on their book and trying to submit it. Because every time you have a 9.9 on the market, what's the worst thing that could happen to you as that owner of that 9.9?
What do you mean? What's the worst thing?
If you are the sole owner of a 9.9 of any given comic, and it's the highest graded.
Someone else
What?
grades one.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're
Second
not
one
the sole
shows up.
owner. Now there's a
Yeah.
two 9.9s out there,
That changes
or,
things a lot.
or even worse, there's a 10.0 now out there.
Oh yeah, come on now, fuck it. Yeah, that's actually the worst. Yes.
So by you
Agreed.
disclosing that number, and then like going over the notes thoroughly and trying to figure out what it was that made yours a 9.9, you're actually helping them try to get a 9.9 in some ways.
Yeah, so this goes back to just cover your damn cert number, right? Like that is effective in those
That is
sorts
an
of
option.
situations. Yeah.
That is an option, but I'm just saying, no,
I'm not
you
I'm
can't
not
have
gonna
it.
bring you to my next PSA meeting because I want them to do it the other way. I want universal graders notes. Let anybody see if they have the cert number. But CJ, I'm saying if they have the cert number, I'm not saying you should give people their cert numbers, which is an interesting conversation I just had the other day about CBCS Signature Series Census. Say that shit a couple of times fast. And I'd have to do a bit more research, but there's an interesting thing apparently on the CBCS Signature Series side. All you have to do is go to the census and you could click any one of the books and it tells you the cert number. It tells you who signed them. Even if you don't owe this, guys, don't hold me to this. Someone told me this. I haven't done my research yet. But what this individual told me is you could click any book and it tells you the cert numbers. Now, if you go into the blue label section, it does not do this. And if you go into CGC, it does not do this. CGC does not. I can pull up any book that I want, and it'll tell me there's 498s. I can't click that number 4 and see every fucking cert number. The only cert numbers that I can put into their system are cert numbers that I am privy to, and I believe it should be that way.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with you on that. But as far as the census itself is concerned, that's a colossal clusterfuck in itself.
Yeah, I got a
What's the purpose of having a census if it means nothing?
I know, man. I mean, it means. I mean,
there's ways to correct this. They're choosing not to use the ways to correct this, but the way the census itself stands. How many things have been cracked and resubmitted without sending back the labels?
I have a couple dozen labels right there, and some of them are very important. Some of them are books that have a census of 5, but actually, I've added a 6th, but there still are only 5 because I cracked it out and resubmitted it. So yes, those censuses are inaccurate. The blame goes to myself for some, many pressers for many more, high volume shops, and that
yes
is a real
and no.
problem.
Yes and no.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Yeah, please.
If CGC, for example, said, listen, we'll give you another couple bucks. We'll give you $1, $2, $5 back as a credit for sending us back that label.
And they used to, right? Just correct me if I'm wrong.
I don't remember them ever doing that. If there is somebody that's in the chat that does remember them doing that, please let me know. Because as far as my involvement with CGC, I don't remember them ever doing that. Okay. But if they gave you that option, I guarantee you're still not going to have everybody doing it, but you'd have a lot more people sending it back.
At least you incentivize it, yeah.
You'd have stacks like this going back to them.
Yeah, someone would get $100, $200 at a time.
And you just said pressers. You know how many pressers I've seen them with my own eyes.
I know.
Stacks. Stacks of labels. Just sitting there. Why they're keeping them, I don't know. For souvenirs, they're keeping them. But I don't know what their reasonings are, but
you think about signature series events. A lot of books that go into signature series events were once encapsulated, cracked out by the pressers to be, prepared again to go in for a signing, do the window box on it, do the window thing on it. Every time there's a signature series event, the censuses are impacted heavily with each event for a popular artist.
So you would think a company of that, of this kind of nature would want to have their census working right. They're the ones that instituted the census.
This brings me to a very interesting place. There was a CGC with a mission statement that once existed. That CGC is gone, right? This CGC is about bringing as much money as you can. And we're talking signature series this, collaborative this, a bunch of gimmicky, feel good, silly shit, right? And if we just want CGC to be kind of this new cute, not a new company, but like if it's just a cute thing that you don't take very seriously, then great. But then we can't put them on a serious pedestal when it comes to the other stuff. You can't have both. You're either a serious company or you're just a feel-good novelty sort of company. And right now they're more of a novelty company than anything. A lot of grades are just arbitrary. I digress. The point that I'm making is, yeah, the CGC of yesterday would have wanted a census that is of integrity. The CGC of today doesn't give a fuck because it doesn't matter. You know, serious collectors give a shit about that. All these new guys that are just jumping in and grading bullshit books worth nothing, that's what CGC cares about. CGC cares about their next signature series event. Now CGC, I think, is selling pins. I got an email about a fucking pin collection the other day. And let me tell you, I love pins. I've got my CGC 9.9 pin that was gifted to me by Justin. Shout out Spidey Hits, good friend. But now they're in the fucking pin business. They're in every business but the grade my fucking book correctly business. They don't care. And so everything that they're doing wrong is what a competitor needs to come in and do right. That's the only thing that's going to make CGC care.
Well, you just said grade my book correctly business. Do you feel that, yeah, clearly they've made a lot of mistakes and blunders, which all the companies that are grading, they've had their mistakes with books and
Of
great
course,
blunders.
Yes.
But do you think they're qualified to be grading correctly with the type of staff that they have? Do you think Matt Nelson running the show over there is qualified enough of a grader of authority, and the people that he has working under him are
From what I've
knowledgeable
seen,
enough to be able to grade properly?
I mean, from what I've seen sort of mistakes and some sort of negligences that would make me answer the question with a no. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Matt is probably the right person for the job, but the circumstances don't allow him to perform his job in the way that would be ideal for the collector. I think that might be the scenario. And in terms of their staff, I have no idea who their staff is, but I know this isn't the pandemic anymore. So there are a lot of there's a lot of things that went wrong from the pandemic, a lot of great stories that I can tell that are amusing as fuck, but sad when you hear what things were like. But that's different now. You know, now they can operate a little slower. They can train a little better before having someone handle and grade a book. So I don't know what their staff is like, but it feels like I don't know how to answer that question because I don't have enough answers, enough information. But from what I've seen, no, it doesn't feel like they're qualified. But that's what we need. We need to get to a point where they are qualified. Because
Well, when you look at that, are you looking at instances? Because we got to look at it from an aspect of percentages. There's going to be a failure rate of a certain percent under any company.
Of course.
What is the right percentage that you feel is acceptable for a company like that to have a failure rate?
If I have an issue in every submission, that's the wrong percentage.
Is that the experience that you've had?
Yeah, for myself and for many people. You know, if you're sending
you've had an issue in every single submission that you've put in there?
No. In all fairness, some of my submissions are one book. I'm very intentional about it. But early on, when I was less intentional about it, yeah, there was pretty much something unpleasant in probably in majority of my submissions. I mean, I'll give you here's a surprising example. My first submission ever, right? I'm talking about new guy into collecting graded stuff. The first graded book I ever bought came to me broken in shipping. I learned a lesson about CGC slabs and how the inner well can snap off in pieces of plastic. The outer case didn't break, the inner well snapped, pieces of plastic are floating around. So first time I bought a graded book, I saw one of the weaknesses in their slab. So that's, you know, what is the chances of that? Obviously kind of high if it was my first time. Then months later, I send my first submission ever. And I'm not making this up. I don't have to. This is the facts. This is the truth. One submission, my first submission 4 years ago, 4 books. Maximum Carnage Acclaim, high grade copy. Avengers Annual 10, First Rogue, high grade copy. Amazing Spider-Man 347, Newsstand, high grade copy, and Venom, Sinner Takes All, number 3, my childhood copy. These are all from my childhood collection with the exception of the Maximum Carnage, high grade copy. Let me speed this story up a little bit. 4 books go in. They were all pressed by my friend Taj. There's YouTube videos about some of them. There's a YouTube video about the Maximum Carnage. It's an amazing video. Epic Comicology, shout out Epic Comicology. Amazing friend, amazing presser, a lot of information, great channel. Carrying on. He pressed them all, he submits them. Out of this submission of 4 books, only 1 was without issue. So not only is it my first submission ever, but out of the 4, only 1 is without issue, and I'll go into detail about the issues. Avengers 10, First Rogue. Like you described earlier, the book was crimped into the inner well. So, of course, it was damaged. Now, this book was a direct edition. It achieved a 9.6. At that point in time, I think a 9.6 was $600 or $700. It was a different market, of course. I had to bang it around to get the book to slide out. It was already damaged, sold it, discounted. After banging my head against the wall, trying to get CGC to not just give me lip service, but to actually listen. See, that's a lesson I didn't learn until later. They don't listen. They'll just give you the responses to make you feel heard, but you're not actually fucking heard. And so I didn't know that yet, right? So I was like, why aren't these guys listening? I didn't understand that this is their way of doing things, to hurry up and make you feel satisfied, get you to send it in for a mechanical error, and hopefully whoever's conducting themselves there is reading the notes and actually takes care of the issue, which oftentimes will send you a book back with the same issue. Anyway, so Avengers 10 Annual 10, crimped into the inner thing. I sold it, didn't send it back to get it corrected because I didn't like how the communication felt like I wasn't actually being heard. I felt like they didn't even know what the fucking problem was. They were just giving me lip service. I discounted it, sold it. Maximum Carnage Acclaim. At that point in time, it came back in 9.2. And 9.2 at that point in time, I sold for $1,200. Now you could get a 9.2 for substantially less. But again, different market. Huge scuff across the back of this case. And I mean, this scuff looked like someone ran over it, right? Not a normal looking scuff. Now I know you can polish these cases out, but that's also not something we should have to do. And polishing takes off the larger scratches, leaves you with micro hazing. People that don't pay attention to details don't realize that. So it's not a solution. It's, again, a Band-Aid. The solution would be to not scuff my fucking case to begin with. And again, expensive book, $1,200 I sold that book for, even with the scuff, but that's because the book was amazing. And obviously I was transparent about the scuff. The other book, the ASM 347 9.8 Newsstand. This was actually an overgraded book. It didn't look anything like a 9.8, and so I sold it with the discount. And then the only book that came back with nothing wrong with the case, that was my childhood copy, that was a 9.8, and it's the only one from that submission that I still have, it's actually over there, was the Venom Sinner Takes All. So anyway, this is a really long-winded way of me saying, when we talk about percentages, what are the odds that my first book that I ever purchased was damaged in shipping because of the flaws within the inner well, and the first submission I ever submitted was 4 books and 3 of them were damaged? You know, what are the odds of that? And then going on from there with every submission, yes, I've had multitudes of issues. I could go on and on and on. I've had substantial amounts of issues, very high percentage of issues, more than one should. Maybe 30% of submissions have some concern. That's ridiculous.
Well, I'll say this much. I don't quite submit as much as you have in the past, but I've submitted some myself. I can't say I've had my problems as well. I've had books that were damaged that I handed to them in pristine shape.
Yeah.
At Comic Cons.
Yeah.
That should have been a 9.8 that I got back in 9.2s. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I'd see a big corner crunch all of a sudden in there.
Right.
I said, what the hell's going on? And I think it's more like for me, that's the issues I've dealt with as far as the handling part of itself, and no accountability over any kind of damages that could happen during the handling, more than the actual encapsulation itself. Manufacturing issues, it happens. It's machines that are closing these things up. It's plastic. It's, it happens. But the handling part of it, that could be controlled.
I want to get back to this in a second. I want to address something that's just not, it's just inaccurate, right? And this thing happens, right? People don't know me as well as, I don't know. I mean, I guess sometimes people assume they know me. They've watched a stream or two. They think they got me figured out. There's a gentleman in here that's saying something that's just wrong, right? And with all due respect, I want to address this.
Who are you talking about?
66. Yeah, this name here. It says before he was being paid to pump PSA, which I'm not. I've never accepted $1 from PSA. So, like, you know, we could just ignore it there because you don't know what you're talking about. And with all due respect, it's just not accurate, right? So why not just ask me the question rather than just assume so? I'm not paid by PSA. My objective to, you know, support PSA is that whether you want PSA to succeed or not, if you want CGC to be your grading company, PSA entering the space is competition, which forces CGC to do better. So it's a win-win. So that's why I support PSA, because I desperately want competition to improve the larger space of third-party grading. I'm a supporter of third-party grading. And so he goes on to say, before he was a paid pump for PSA, which I'm not, this dude was on podcasts accepting awards from Matt Nelson. Now, I was given an award, right? I didn't plan for it. Here's that award. You know, this is the 2024 Hobby Hero Award that was given to me by Matt Nelson. Now, you say that as if I was supposed to, you know, say, I don't want that. I was happy to be speaking to Matt Nelson. It was a real pleasure. It's really amazing to be able to have these conversations. So I'm very happy about that. Now, I accepted that award because it was given to me. I wasn't anticipating it. I wouldn't have given a shit if I didn't get it. And in fact, it didn't do me much good to accept the award because the way people saw that in the community, they thought, oh, Manu went easy on Matt Nelson because they buttered him up. They gave him the award. No, I still stuck to my guns. The only reason that interview even happened was because I had found a major flaw in the system that cost people millions and millions of dollars. And so they celebrated that, right? And whether there was a bit of a, you know, a sort of a manipulation in the handing off of the award, maybe it was meant to, you know, be a little chummy with me, who knows? But I'm just giving a little bit of time to this comment just to clear up the fact that there's no truth in what you're saying there. So for whatever reason you want to approach me in a negative light, not appreciate the fact that I'm probably on the same side of this. I don't know what side you're on, so I won't make that assumption. But
Well,
I want a better third-party grading and collecting environment. I'm fighting for the collector. So if you think that's the wrong side to be on, and keep thinking that, but just, you know, don't just say.
Let's stay on this, Manu. Let's stay on this. Okay, so let's go back and rewind the clock when you were with the Avengers. The Avengers. You and the Avengers were over talking to Matt, okay? And he threw out this award to you guys for exposing the situation, okay? Clearly, that was set in a PR thing that he did.
Yeah.
Clearly. That's exactly what he was doing.
Giving the award?
Yeah, to give the award to you guys.
Yeah, it's a PR thing. It's a PR. It wasn't like super thought out either. Like, it wasn't like high level PR. It was like very
no. It was like
PR.
let's put an olive branch to the community for making us look like assholes.
And it didn't stop me from telling the truth about what truths needed to be told.
The same way he threw you guys off a little bit by throwing that 9.9 thing in the mix.
Well, he didn't necessarily threw me off. He excited.
He did change the conversation and the directions.
I brought the 9.9. I started that conversation.
No, I know that you started the conversation, but the fact that he said that they have some kind of program going into doing something like that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, agreed.
You don't think there was a clear intention to kind of move off of the heat and go into another direction?
Well, in all fairness, if they wanted to move off of the heat entirely, they didn't have to do the interview at all, right? But I can't speak for whether that conversation would have happened if I didn't bring it up, right? We don't live in a reality where I didn't bring it up, so we don't know if it would have been brought up. In this reality, that conversation happened because I asked a question about it.
That is true. Now, the way that happened was you brought that to the attention of the Avengers, and then you guys grabbed a hold of everybody's attention together, right? Or was it the Avengers that brought it to your attention? Who's the first?
I found that. I discovered it. I brought it to everyone's attention. I made the post. Dave, a friend of mine at the time, invited me onto his channel to cover it, and so he became wrapped up in it with me. That came to light by me, because of me, and the post that I made on December 15th is the one that on my Instagram page that not just myself on YouTube, but other YouTubers in the community that are now friends of mine, shout out Swag, shout out Neo Cards and Comics, many people, they took that post, detailed the post, went over it, and since it was such a legitimate thing with evidence, it just took off as it should have. and that strengthened our community in a way that we hadn't seen a controversy in grading do before. And I'm very proud of that moment. I'm very proud of my award. And no, the award did not win me over. I've always been a supporter and a critic of third-party grading. I want it to succeed, so I criticize it. I am not on any company's team. I don't care which grading company succeeds, because when they compete, the collector wins. I'm on the side of the collector. And that's the opinion that I need people to, most people know. Every now and then there's one individual that is just making things up and has the ability to freely spew it on the internet.
But that whole event changed a scenario completely. I think as far as public perception of you when that first happened, because you went from one of these guys that are more of a, I personally believe, maybe I'm wrong, as more of a behind the scenes kind of guy that's not really publicly out there in
Right.
everybody's face,
Yeah.
to all of a sudden being the guy. Anytime there's a CGC issue, every time there's a CBCS issue, every there's a PSA issue, you became the guy that everybody wants to have and talk to about these things.
Well, and I think I have some notion as to why that might have been, because yes, that event brought me into exposed me to people that weren't exposed to me prior, because I don't have a YouTube presence. And obviously I did have a YouTube presence. See, that's the thing. My community was just smaller. It had grown since then. It had grown because of that, but my community was smaller. I was on YouTube, but I was on other friends' channels discussing my collections and cards. And we were having these critical conversations often. I've always been vocal. I've always been an individual that pays attention to details and cares deeply about the success and the integrity of third-party grading and the way that I transact and sell and, you know, friend and customer and client relationships and all of that stuff. What I'm saying here is I was on Instagram for many years, establishing a reputation for myself. I didn't just come into this with an opinion and then people listened to my opinion and asked for my opinion. No, I led with action, which gave credence and credibility to my opinion. They saw me for years battling with CGC one-on-one and expressing to my Instagram community through posts and through stories and through little YouTube not little YouTube appearances, but, you know, seldomly, sometimes appearing on YouTube, talking about my experiences to an audience that wasn't quite as large at that time. But it's because my actions backed up everything that I was talking about. See, I came in here and first established a reputation of being detail-oriented, being honorable, being serious, really caring, which is why when I spoke about it, I already had the reputation to back it up. People were already like, well, we know him. And we know he doesn't bullshit. We know he doesn't just start drama to start drama. We know he's not farming drama. He's not that guy. I'm an energy guy. I don't want to be surrounded by fucking nonsense. It drags me down. I'm not that sort of person. So since I had already had a reputation, that allowed my voice to be received in a certain way. And once that happened, yes, a larger community became aware of me because of that. And they came into my world. But just because you start knowing me because of that doesn't mean there wasn't a history of me talking about that prior. My universe had just opened up. My platforms opened up. My voice became a little louder. And I don't think that's by mistake. And I don't think that's by accident. And I don't think that's by my choice. I think my friends in the community say, hey, when Manu says some shit, he's not just being an asshole. Let's at least give him a moment to speak. And if you are allowed a moment to speak and you're able to deliver something that is fact-based, that goes a long fucking way, right? And so I agree with you completely, but a little bit of that backstory is important.
Yeah, but that moment in time,
yes,
that moment in time is what cemented you as somewhat, I don't know if the right word is authority, but it definitely cemented you as the go-to guy. And every time there's a conversation to be
why do you think
had,
that is? Let me can I ask you, because I love that and I want that and I embrace that and I'm going to lean into that. And if that's my position to enjoy collecting, and when there's something that I think is important for our community to know that would protect us to take action on, I want to be one of the voices, and I'm very happy that it's received the way that it is. But why do you personally think that people are okay with me sharing my opinion and sometimes even asking for it. What do you think the reason for that is?
I'm not sure if people are necessarily okay or not with you with your opinions. However, I think they respect that you're knowledgeable enough to be able to have a conversation about these things
Mhm.
and to be able to put it out there in a way where it's not going to be, because I've noticed you do clearly have a problem with a lot of these grading, all the grading companies, as far as certain things that they all do, which a lot of us do.
Yeah, the problems
So
exist.
there
I
is a
just have
bias,
them.
of
Everybody
course,
has them.
because of personal experiences that have happened. But
Mhm.
for the most part, you're not one of these drama queens that just going out there and basically crying about it and whining about it and yelling and basically going on a tirade. You're having conversations, and I think that the fact that you're able to hold a conversation and try to sit down and come up with some kind of constructive type of criticism and that of that nature, I
Mhm.
think that's what gave you that credibility of being that if not the go-to guy, one of the authorities
Yeah, just
as far
one
as
of
having those conversations.
Yeah, definitely. One of the people out here that deeply cares about the community is actually a part of the community. And I appreciate the fact that I've been allowed to have one of those spaces in this community. And I respect it. And I'm going to protect that as well. And I'm going to be careful with it because if I know that people are listening, well, then I'm cognizant of that, and I'm going to be careful with that because um, it's meaningful to me. So yeah, I agree with you, and you're right. That that thing, I've talked about small little scandals before, but that was such a big one. There was nothing else that it could have done but put me on the
No,
map
it was
because it was
that
the
moment.
biggest fucking
It
thing.
was that moment, that exact moment, which changed you from being one of the behind the scenes kind of guys
Yeah,
to being the forefront kind of guys.
and I
It's
and I,
clear. It's clear because,
you're right.
like, with guys like me, I knew you existed before.
Did you? I didn't know
I
that. Okay,
I knew you existed, but I didn't really know much.
I
Do you
got you.
understand?
Yeah. Oh shit.
It's that moment in time that put you in on my radar to try to find out more about you. And I wasn't the only one. There was a lot of other people like that as well. Now,
Right.
it'd be hypocritical for me to ask you, but to bring this whole conversation up and talk about you being this momentum and you being in the forefront of being one of the people to be able to have these discussions,
Hmm.
and not ask you, do you see that this position you put yourself in the community, and
Hmm.
as far as a speaker on these top topics, as a opportunity to be able to get yourself involved in one of these companies and turn it into some kind of position to work for one of these companies in the future? Is this something that's crossed your mind? Is it something that you would want?
Um, it's not something that I would want. It is obviously something that's crossed my mind. It's conversations that I've had with individuals. And no, it's not something that I want, but that's because of the place that I am in, the place that I'm at in life. I'm an entrepreneur and I made a choice to do whatever it takes to not have a boss. And about 5 years ago, I achieved that. And I'm not looking to go back.
So that being said, you've had conversations with PSA and you continue to have conversation with them. What's the
Yeah.
nature of your relationship with them? Are they just calling you as an advisor? Are they just trying to pick out your ear? Like, what's the story? What is your dynamic with them right now? Why are they coming to you and having these conversations? Are you getting paid as a advisor? Because I
No,
know other individuals that have been on a consultation basis, and there's nothing
sure.
wrong if that's the case.
No, no, no.
But
I was a professional consultant previously. I come from a background of consulting, marketing, and advertising.
yeah,
So
there's nothing wrong with that. But
absolutely
people
not.
don't understand those things.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. My reason for not pursuing a financially beneficial relationship is because that jeopardizes my integrity in the community. What's most important to me is my brand. If PSA down the line does something that I need to speak up about, well, I need to be able to speak up about it. And generally speaking, if someone's paying your bills, you're not speaking up about their wrongdoings. Swag, what's going on? One Comics and Chaos, what up? That might be Rage, that might be Phil, might be both of them. Hello, my friends, how are you? RS Cali Andrews with us here. What's going on, my man? And Swag's here. I don't see him there, but he's there somewhere. And
What did we
greetings,
say about the
everybody.
hellos? What did we say about
Sorry,
the hellos?
I told you I break rules, man. I told you. Where was I? Bring me CJ. Where the hell
It's
was
probably
I?
Theo
Oh,
over
here. Yeah, it probably is Theo. What's going on? Okay, so the relationship with PSA, right? That's where we were at right now? Yes, I believe so. So
Yep.
PSA is obviously coming into the world of grading comic books.
Wait,
Why wouldn't they want-
before we continue, Manu, let's just make it 100% crystal clear. That way, people are listening understand this. You're
Yeah.
getting zero compensation, whether it's on
Zero.
a consultation, whether it's anything. They're not
Nothing.
freelance, nothing. You're not.
I'm spending my
they're just-
time.
yeah.
I'm spending my time and my money. If there's travel associated, that's my dime, so that I can go get this information and so that I can assist in getting PSA to market in as much as I can help. Right? There's limited.
Wait,
what I
hold
can
on.
help.
They're not even paying for your travel.
Brother, I'm trying to tell you, I'm doing this because this is what I want for third-party grading. People, I guess,
Yeah,
are
but fuck
getting confused
that.
about it.
If you're helping
That's all
them,
right.
they should pay at least for your freaking cab or whatever you're paying, like airplane, whatever you're taking.
I'll tell you this: a closed mouth doesn't get fed, and I made a decision not to ask for that compensation. Now, should I actually present them with the consultation agreement? Maybe it works out. Maybe they like me enough to do that. Should I ask to be compensated for a flight? Maybe they do that, right? But I've never asked. I've volunteered because it is beneficial for me and my long-term goal to have a successful, well-functioning third-party grading economy to help. And plus, I get a kick out of this stuff. Let's not forget the fact that I fucking enjoy this. It is worth it for me to hop on a plane and go visit an office of an amazing grading company that I've been wanting to get a tour of, and really being introduced to everybody on staff, being in there, seeing the grading room, seeing the shipping and receiving, seeing how everything is done is of substantial value, and it has entertainment value to me. The same way someone might go to Disneyland, PSA is my Disneyland. I will take a weekend trip and go to PSA on my dime, and I'll do it over and over again because I want to. I didn't have to recommend to them well, actually I didn't recommend that I'll pay for it, but what I'm saying is I didn't ask them to pay for it, right? And it was mutually beneficial because I get information in advance, I get to be involved in the process, and I get to present it to the community. But one of the reasons that I take
but who's benefiting more from this situation? Is it you or them? Let's be honest with ourselves.
That depends on how you look at it. That really does depend on how you look at it, right? I put a lot of analysis into my decisions.
You are definitely benefiting from it. There's no doubt about that, because information is power. That's how I'm a strong believer of that. However,
yeah,
I think they're benefiting a little bit more from this situation.
Good for them.
Because they're not necessarily taking all your direction. They're not taking everything that you're telling them and saying, "Yeah, we're going to do it." Thank you, Manu. They're listening to you. You're going in, and like in many cases, you're expending your breath and telling them about things that could be great ideas, and they're like, "Okay, thank you very much," and they don't use any of them at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%.
So you're going there. You're giving them basically a outsider's view that's a little that's knowledgeable. It's not just some like guy that buys one slab a year or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what you're talking about when you're dealing with them. There's value in that.
There's absolutely value.
They should dig into their cheapskate pockets. No, I'm dead serious. They should dig into their cheapskate pockets and say, "Hey, we appreciate you. Hey, you don't want to take the flight? No problem. Here, have a freaking gift certificate to I don't know, Christie's Steakhouse or something. Like what the hell?"
Well, they have bought me dinner, but I don't consider that a form of compensation, right? That was a.
So you lied. They did compensate you. They bought you dinner. They wanted to dine you.
You guys got me. You got me. I wasn't the only one that ate that night. You guys got me. All right. They bought me with the dinner. I couldn't have bought the dinner on my own. Oh my gosh,
You see what I'm saying?
Fuck the flight I took to get to the dinner. They bought me the dinner, dude.
Have they bought you adult entertainment as well?
No, they did not. Stop it. So what I want to say is, I love that you bring that up, my friend. And you're not the only person in my corner that tells me that.
You have to ask that. I mean,
no. even not just ask it, but say, damn it, Manu, there's value in what you're giving. Get your fucking money. The person, my cousin that I used to be in business with, he reminds me all the time, Manu, don't give the value away for free. There is a different sort of value in this for me, and I have made my decisions as of now. My credibility as a brand, that's what I want to establish and continue to. I don't want to be paid by another company where someone in the chat can throw that in my face, because then I have to be like, no, you're right, I get paid. But I don't have to say that, because no, I don't fucking get paid by them. I get paid by me. I make my money the way that I make my money. Now, one of the advantages in this, there are several, right? But I want to serve our community. And like you said, having information in advance allows me to do that better. Better serving our community makes my brand better. My brand better makes more trust. More trust means someone's willing to send me money for an item they're buying from me. Not only that, people send me items that I'm buying from them without me paying for them. I receive the item, I make sure it is what I need it to be, then I pay. That comes with trust. And
Well, yeah, with established dealers and sellers, I think that's been the common practice. We'll get into that in 1 second, but before we get into that, I just want to make sure. Do you know anybody else that hosts, prestigious SOA as myself, that gets super chats, but also gets called Poop Man while they're being super chatted?
I don't know anyone like you in any regard.
Well, we'll take that as a compliment.
It is. You are the one and only Mr. Journey.
Do you know how we thank people here on this channel when they give us super chats?
No, how do we? But thank you. But how do we?
We thank them through geriatric nudity, Elvis, Bollywood midgets, and more.
Gosh.
So enjoy and thank you.
Thank you very much.
My friends, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I want to thank you much. Thank you very Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, CJ.
Is there any other way to thank people?
I mean, I could think of a few ways, but I think, when in Rome. So,
But this is the way you really show your gratitude.
Dude, you didn't pull that out of your ass. That took some planning.
Absolutely. That's how I show my love to people.
100%. 100%. But okay, so thank you.
Papa
Who
Wheelie.
was it? Papa Wheelie. Thank you so much. Oh, 9.9. We all should want great comment grading companies to have success, but why be so negative to CGC for having issues where all the damn companies have issues? So I'm with, great question. And I would assume you weren't here at the beginning of the stream, because we touched on that a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll make it short, since a lot of people have heard that from the beginning of the stream. Majority of the books that are graded and traded and so on and so forth are CGC books. So when you're addressing these issues, it just happens to be that the majority of the time CGC books, they are the leader. They are the biggest show in town. They are the biggest problem in that regard as well. Like when you think about an issue affecting the most amount of collectors, it would be a CGC issue, because that's the most amount of books. So it's kind of a product of that. Any company that has a large enough issue that can effectively, compromise the safety of the collectible or the community member or the money being spent, that needs to be discussed. And it could be any company at any given time, of course. It just happens to be a lot of the main sort of controversies or troubles are with CGC, but it's a matter of the fact that they're the biggest company and most of the stuff is CGC stuff. That's all that is, and so all the damn companies have issues. Absolutely right. And if you get to know me a little better and hear me talk about more things, you'll realize I'm an equal opportunity problem discusser. Absolutely.
That I think we've been establishing through this whole conversation. And you know what I think we should do that we haven't done up until this point? I think we should give everybody a little bit of the background, what you're all about, and what kind of got you into this position where you're in right now, as far as this public speaker on these items, and what that you do behind the scenes and what you do for a living. But before we do that,
Yeah.
just take a minute and think about how you want to answer that.
Okay.
Jose 2099 hated it so much that he wanted to see it again.
I
So,
guess.
Jose, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
My friends, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
I wanna thank you much. Thank you very Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're back.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Jose.
So, why don't we talk about that a little bit? Like,
Yeah.
what brought you into this insanity? Who the hell are you? What do you do for a living? What is it that made you the guy?
I'm a collector. I'm a dealer. I have very strong private relationships with people that I buy and sell from, and we have these conversations all the time. I'm extremely detail oriented.
No, but what are you? Are you a dealer? Are you
I'm
a
a collector and a
broker?
dealer.
Like, what
No,
do you consider yourself? More of a broker or a dealer? Like, because kind of
dealer.
what you do is kind of almost brokerage.
I mean, I don't. Tell me why you would say that. What do you mean?
Because of my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, you know how to connect people. People are looking for something specific. You know people that are specific buyers
Mhm.
for a certain product, and you
Mhm.
bring them together by being the mediator of the two.
No, I mean to an extent, but I don't bring
Am
people
I wrong
together.
about that?
Yeah, to an extent. I don't bring people together. I mean, I will bring people together, but if I'm going to gain from the sale of something, I'm going to sell only what I own, what I can package and ship. So I'm not a
Got it. So
consignment
you
based.
buy
Yeah.
everything first.
Oh, 100. Yeah, you're not getting
Okay.
shit. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm not
Okay.
introducing you to my buyer. You're not going to have my buyer's information. That's my buyer. I've
Okay.
developed that relationship. Yeah.
Okay, that's where I didn't quite understand. I thought you actually were like a matchmaker kind of a thing where you
No,
bring
no, no, no,
people,
no, no.
you get paid a fee to do that
No.
kind of a. So you actually straight up buy things from people and then resell them to other people.
If I choose to resell them, and yeah, and a lot of things do get resold, and I only buy things that I absolutely love, right? Because I am a collector, so I'm buying from my personal collection until it exits my personal collection. I want to be able to talk about something passionately, love it, respect it, enjoy having it, enjoy grading it, enjoy everything about it. I could sell
And is it
anything. I
only
can sell.
comics?
No, it's comics, it's cards. I'm in original art now. It's other collectibles. It's nostalgia inspired. It's nostalgia inspiring collectibles that resonate with me. And I like them to be the rarest versions of the coolest stuff, right? Like we can all have a 316. I want the Mark Jewelers 9.8 white page 316, of which I've graded two 9.8s. Both came back off white. And I've sold many. And I also have a white pager as well. Like that's a super rare book. I make it my business to have the rarest versions of the coolest shit. And so if anybody wants them, they come to me to find them.
You're diving into original art, huh?
Yeah, it's a
That's
different
a
world.
dangerous
I
rabbit hole
know.
you're going into right
I
now.
know. I'm taking it one step at a time, very
That's
slowly.
expensive.
It is. I've acquired a few pieces, and it's a very dangerous world. It's a very shady world, which is exciting to me, um, because I want to learn how to navigate it and be careful. But yeah, so it's fun that it is so kind of secretive, and but yeah, that's another frontier for me. And I look forward to getting into the world of selling original art as well. Right now, I'm just acquiring and developing relationships. Eventually, selling will start. So, that day will come, but I'm not there quite yet.
You dealing directly with the artists or through their agents?
Fortunately, I've acquired two pieces through agents, but fortunately, I've also acquired one of my favorite pieces. One of my actual first published piece was acquired directly from the artist, and I'm so grateful for how that situation went. We actually had a shipping scare where the thing disappeared for 9 fucking days, and then one day it showed up safe and sound. And we're like, oh, and I mean, we're talking a significant, relatively a large amount of money, enough to really keep you up at night
You mind
with
sharing what that piece was?
No, I haven't shared that piece yet. I'm actually not. There's a reason I'm not sharing, because if people start to learn what I'm acquiring, the prices will go up on me. So I'm tight-lipped for a while.
Ah, you clever individual.
I didn't get here
You're
by
smart.
accident, CJ.
You're a smart dude. I do that too. I don't tell people what I'm chasing
Sometimes you can't,
until
man.
after I'm done.
That's the way to play the game, you
And then what
know?
are you gonna do? You're gonna show your pieces off after, and then say to the moon.
There's an interesting thing that happens when you have something that's actually great. You don't even have to make it available for sale for buyers to come get it from you.
that there is truth in that. There's a lot of truth in that, actually.
And I'm just continuing to set myself up for that, a future of that, where I have things that I love, don't mind keeping, acquire them at the right price, have presumable equity in them, and should someone else want them, they can make me an offer, or I can price it for whatever amount it's going to require for me to ship it to them. And more often than not, that leads to a deal, you know? So I like
We'll
that.
we'll definitely talk about more about the original art offline, because
I look forward to it.
that is a passion of mine as well. So,
You're light years ahead of me, and I can't wait to learn from you about things. Absolutely.
I'm still a novice compared to a lot of the freaking people there, but I'm a quick learner. But we'll definitely talk about
Right?
that offline,
Yeah.
because I'm really into that stuff. But what got you into actually getting involved in this kind of business? Like
I'll tell you exactly what happened. So I was a collector in the 80s and 90s. I mean, in the late 80s, I was very young, but in the 90s, I was a collector, much like many of us. And then, you become a teenager, other things kind of get your attention. CJ is chasing furries 9.9. I've been meaning to get into that furries business, man.
hey,
um,
don't knock the damn furries, my friend.
I'm not knocking them. I'm not knocking them. Listen, so,
As long
I
as they're
was a
furry in the right places.
That's right. And so I was a collector in the 90s, like so many of us, right? And so that's where my nostalgia lives. Todd McFarlane, Bagley, Spider-Man, like I'm very narrow in what I love. And so I choose to be an expert in what I love, right? I'm not like all over the place. You're not going to come get, there's a bunch of shit that you're not going to get from me. And if you hit me up about it, I'm not even gonna waste your time and say, I don't know anything about that. I don't engage with that. Don't know what to do for you. I'm sorry. But if it's the lane that I'm in, well, then I'm an expert in that lane. I can help you there. So regardless, you become a teenager, other things become kind of cool to you. It never left my life, meaning I did stop reading and collecting comic books actively, but my favorite four covers were always with me. It didn't matter what city I moved to, they were always with me in some drawer, in some bedside somewhere, right? And every now and then I would see a comic book store and I would still walk in and I would still get that smell and I would get that nostalgia. I might buy a trade paperback, I might buy a poster, I might buy an action figure just for the nostalgia of it, just for fun. But I wasn't like, it's active collector for many, many years. And then, like so many of us, the pandemic comes around and we go inside. We start thinking, well, what is it that makes us tick? What shapes us? So on and so forth. And it was the timing of the pandemic was crazy. And maybe this is for a lot of people, but I was already on this transition as in terms of the person I was and what I wanted out of life and what I was doing professionally. Like I was running a marketing and advertising company with my cousin. And I was at a place where I didn't check out yet, but I was like, man, having clients to the degree that we had clients where you have to do weekly reports, you have to renew contracts. Sometimes there's 6-month contracts, sometimes there's month to month. There's still a lot of obligation to satisfy. And when a client doesn't renew with you, it's just like a boss firing you. So I had gotten rid of bosses by being an entrepreneur, but I hadn't got rid of the obligation to satisfy and appease people, which I was trying to figure out a way out of. But we hadn't shut that business down yet. But when the pandemic started, our business actually took off, which was interesting. We did well during the pandemic because all of our retail clients needed an online presence, and obviously we were able to facilitate that for them. Regardless, I went to my parents' house one day and I pulled out a short box of comic books. So we got nothing but time on our hands. And I pull out a short box of comic books, and dude, I brought it to my place, and I had such a good time just slowly flipping through. This is just what I chose to do that evening, right? And I'm flipping through the short box, and I'm looking at Googling stuff. I'm eBay. How much are these books worth these days? And I'm quickly learning things that I didn't realize for decades prior. Is that holy shit? Wait, they're grading stuff now? What is this plastic encapsulated comic book? Like, you could see the first post on my Instagram page. That's when I got into this, reintroduced to it. And I'm like, what is this graded stuff? That got me interested, right? I'm a very detail oriented guy. So when you're, and I was obsessive as a child too. A lot of my childhood collection is super high grade. It's fucking crazy. And it's like, oh, this is right up my alley. This is the sort of person I am. And I love these premiums attached to these super high grades. This is exciting. And so I'm like going through the short box as slow as I can because I don't want this evening's experience to end. And I'm pulling them out. I'm sort of like getting an idea for what grade is, looking at eBay, finding out about grading companies. And then I notice, holy shit, there's a premium being paid for newsstands. And previously newsstands were the ones that were like discarded and neglected, right? Like you would rather have the additional art in the corner box than the fucking black and white barcode. Like just from a visual appeal perspective, the art is greater than the barcode, right? And so over the years, so this is the ideas that quickly started to like settle in with me. Like over the years, the newsstands were the ones that were discarded, neglected, not cared for, covers torn off when they wouldn't sell and return. They're on spinner racks. They're in Barnes and Nobles in the magazine section. You're having your fucking croissant and your Starbucks, reading a book, putting it away when you're done. Like the chances of them to survive in the highest grade as like books that from the comic book store went right into a bag and board were far reduced, which made me love them, right? So I immediately cooked up my name. It's the first name I thought of, and it just I love no, dude. No, Jose, I'm with you too. Come on. And so immediately I thought of this name, the 9.9 Newsstand. It was this first one that came to me and I loved it and I kept it. And what it means to me is 9.9 is the pursuit of high grade. I don't believe in tens. I think I don't think perfection is real. So I love a 9.9. And the newsstand is that underdog. It's that person, it's that thing that was neglected and tossed and not loved, surviving in a close to perfect grade. It's symbolic. It's a philosophy for me. And that's the philosophy that I come into collecting with. So that's
was that the advertising and marketing part of you that made up that name? Was that what it was?
I am by naturally, yes, because that's how I work. That I didn't go into marketing and advertising because I learned marketing and advertising. I went into marketing and advertising because it's natural for me to recognize how things are perceived. So it's like marketing and advertising found me. I didn't find it. You know, like the career of it landed on me. I didn't go pursue it. You know what I mean? Like it's just the way that I see things. I recognize, I mean, there are people that are far better at it than I am, but to the degree that I do it in the lane that I do it, optics are something that I tend to understand. Emotional intelligence is something that I tend to recognize and be able to kind of empathize, sympathize. All of that's very important when you're delivering a message or you're concerned with how a message is being delivered. So it's innately a part of me. So yeah, that probably played a part into everything that I do. And that's probably why I ended up being an entrepreneur in that space. So
You seem to go by the philosophy as far as that approach is being intentionally unintentional.
yes, man, of course, absolutely. And so then now we have to get to, well, when I started my Instagram page, I wasn't selling stuff yet, but I did see that people, like, this is all at the beginning of the pandemic. I'm realizing, wow, there's this whole social community of people on Instagram that are talking about comic books. This is so great. I have all the time in the world. I'm going to spend a bunch of time here. I love this. And I loved connecting with people. See, I was coming out of a place in my life where, dude, I stripped everything out of my life. I sold my cars. I moved to a different place. I got rid of all of my friends, and I call them friends because, you know, for decades they were friends, but they weren't serving me anymore. So they're gone. Like I was in a real transition. It was me and fucking Instagram, you know, essentially is where I was at. And I start socializing in this community and feeling real warmth and love from it. And it's like, I'm feeding my inner child, which I really want to always keep that person alive and well. And, but I also love selling. I'm an entrepreneur through and through. I love a hustle. Like, I mean, the positive connotation of the word, not hustling someone. I mean, hustling, you know, I love hustling and I love making money. I love a profit. I like money to me represents freedom. That's all it represents to me, you know, not having to, that's it. And so I love all of that stuff. And I start seeing people, they're doing live sales, they're selling books, you know, ASM 300s, 316s, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, premiums on graded stuff. So really, obviously it spoke to me. And I thought that my skill set that I naturally have and have improved upon over the years can serve me very well here. So I remember the first book I ever attempted to sell, right? And I started learning lessons right away. You know, whatever the book was, it was $300. I put it for sale on my page. No one bought it. I didn't have much of an audience yet. And I hit a dealer up, right? And it was Elvine's. You know Elvine, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a dealer, and I hit him up, and I sent a shout out to him. I sent him a DM, and I said, "Hey, do you want this book? I'm selling it for this much." And he goes, "Hey, man, you got to leave some more meat on the bone for me." And you know, in other words, this is years ago now. And I was like, "What do you mean? I am. It's last sale is this, and this sale is this." He said, "No, dude, that's not enough. You gotta, you know, you're gonna have to learn a little bit about how we do things around here. You know, in other words." And I was like, "Oh, he makes a good point. He wants to make a bigger profit, as would I. So when I'm dealing with a dealer, I'm basically having to somewhat wholesale it to them. Okay, lesson learned, right?" And then a collector ended up buying it from me, and I realized, wow, you can sell things on Instagram. So then I started to develop more of an audience. See, I came from a bit of a background of developing social media pages, but in not as niche an environment. I've taken certain like wine pages to winery pages to much larger, but it's a different demographic. This is a very small community. It grows at a different rate, at a different pace. But I was still having success in growing it and creating like decent engagement. And so I wanted to continue to let everyone know that I am a collector. I collect plenty of shit that I love, but nothing is not able to be sold is essentially the point. Some things are very difficult for me to sell, and the prices are astronomical. That's why they haven't sold yet. But they can all go. I don't
Is
need someone
that
to
is that
convince me.
primarily where you generate your clientele from your social following through Instagram?
Yeah. I develop my relationships primarily through social media discovery, and then I nurture those relationships, and then those relationships can become references to other relationships. I have people that buy books from me regularly that are not on Instagram, and they found me through like maybe a random book on eBay, and we were able to, you know, maybe find a way to send a message on eBay that got us on the phone with one another, and now they're a private relationship. They do not have to buy from me from Instagram. They do not have to buy from me from eBay or a YouTube sale. If they see something from me anywhere, or if they call me periodically just to ask me what I have, we can just transact via phone calls. I'm on the phone, relatively speaking, 5-6 hours a day. That's not irregular for me. You know, a phone call with a customer or a friend, a customer that's become a friend that is discussing potentially buying something from me, that could be a 45-minute phone call. And that could very easily be 6 or 7 of them a day. And so, but I enjoy it.
Is this now your primary source of business? That's how you make your living through these deals that you do? You've gotten out of the advertising business completely, or are you still involved with that?
For all intents and purposes, I'm out of it completely. And
Okay.
it's an interesting thing to say, is this how I make a living? The way that I would like to say is, this is how I add to my living, if that makes sense. You know,
Okay.
like, yeah. And
I mean,
so,
it's words, but you get the gist of what I'm saying.
there's a nuance. If I don't sell a comic book tomorrow, the bills are still paid.
Understood.
You know, that
Understood.
part.
And when you made the decision to get out of, you know, a more conventional style of doing business
Mhm.
from advertising world,
Yeah.
marketing world,
I
to
started
going into
working
this
way more.
collectible,
Yep.
we've talked about this a little bit in the back.
Yeah.
You're first generation from immigrants, is similar
Yes.
to what I am.
Yes.
How's your family and your friends and your personal circle around you look at that? Like, what the hell are you doing? You're leaving like a real business into funny books and
The few
collectibles and
the few people that were still in my life, because, you know, just a moment ago I said I had gotten rid of everyone, forcefully said I just stopped talking to people, because for a lot of reasons. But the few people that were still in my life, they noticed how happy I was. Even before I sold a single book, they noticed how purely connected with my own happiness I was, having entered the collecting community in Instagram. And so they didn't question it. And
well, that's great that you had that support circle around you, because
I did.
that's huge. That's huge, because I'll tell you something. Coming from a Greek first generation, from a Greek immigrant family, anytime that I talked about anything about comics, whether it's through dealings or through actually creating my own IPs and stuff like that, everybody
Yeah.
was not supportive at all. They're like, "What the hell is this shit that you're doing? Go get
Oh.
go look at the real stuff."
Yeah, and I got to give you a little bit of background on some more of that, like take it way back, right? So my mother and father are both from India, right? But they're both different religions and they weren't supposed to get married. So they broke a lot of the rules and a lot of the molds early. So obviously I still grew up in a traditional environment where there was still a lot of like expectations, you know, you have to marry by this age, you have to become this, do this for a living. But it came more from my outside family, not from my immediate family, because we were always kind of like, fuck molds, you know, you have to respect tradition, you have to respect your elders, all, you know, there's a difference between right and wrong, but we were never trying to force anyone in our family into a certain way of thinking just because that's how it had been thought historically. Because my parents broke the mold, so they weren't trying to reinforce a new mold with me. We were open to everybody's way of life, we absorbed and we respected, but that was a conditioning within me from the very beginning to be creative, to be artistic. They actually supported that in me from when I was a youth. I'll give you another example. I was a
That's
very,
huge.
very, it is huge, and it's a huge reason for why I am the way that I am. And you know, when I was earlier in school, I was very academically focused. You know, my ambitions were to go to Stanford, to go to Berkeley, so on and so forth. You know, those were my the goals that I had for myself. But once I started to learn more about the world, you know, the more you learn, it's kind of hard to feel so positive about certain things. But I started to learn more about the world, and I felt things were certain sort of unfair, and I checked out. And the reason I checked out later in my high school years is because it just felt like, you know, they're just trying to condition me to become a part of the system. They're not really embracing my strengths. They're just trying to get me to, you know, pass these tests, which I could do, and all this and all that. Like I really remember when, if I'm able to ace your test, but you're going to try to fail me because I didn't turn in your assignment, you're not trying to teach me to make sure I have the knowledge. You're trying to condition me to be prepared for a world where you have to show up on time and report to duties and blah, blah, blah. Man, I don't really operate the best in that sort of condition. So I dropped out of high school. And that was much to many people's surprise. But the interesting thing is, in my senior year of high school, my principal, it came to his attention that I was kind of checked out. And we had a meeting and an appointment or whatever you call it. And I told him, I said, I want to drop out. And I'm not going to drop out and just become a bum or whatever. I'm going to go get my GED and I'm going to get myself into junior college. I'm trying to accelerate my growth here. I'm done with this shit, you know, like put me in college. And he brought my parents in and, you know, they were a little upset about it. But my principal, who was a really great friend of mine for years and years, when he was my teacher, my principal, you know, my advisor, you know, the person I ate lunch with and talked about life with, that kind of relationship. He said to my parents, he said, man, Manu's going to be okay. All right. Yes, we want him to graduate and all of this and all of that. And this is sad, but he's going to be just fucking fine. All right. And he asked me and he said, Manu, are you going to regret not walking across the stage? And I said, hell no. I do not give a shit about walking across that stage. Let me get the fuck out of here. And they did. And I went and got my GED and I put myself in junior college. And when you know it, I left junior college too. That shit bored me to death as well. And that's when I became an entrepreneur. Now, becoming an entrepreneur doesn't mean that I was successful, you know, starting at the age of 19. I've had to take many jobs in between, but I've had successes and I learned with each one, right? So I learned from the school of hard knocks and entrepreneurship. That's where I got my education, because the education I got from the academic system was just kind of like fucking useless, to be honest.
Were you a loner when you were a kid?
No, that's another surprise for people. Is like I early on, yes, I was a loner because I hadn't realized what it meant to be, you know, like I didn't know how to, you know, just from a traditional Indian family, you're not getting the influences from in the house that makes you cool and likable in a public school, right? So there was a great deal of time where I was just like, you know, the Indian kid that no one really spoke to. But I was academically focused. So I was just a geek. I didn't care. I was just a nerd. But then you start to take influences from the outside world. You start to venture away from school, I mean, from home. You start to find the things in life that inspire you. And I started to develop my, you know, personalities from outside influences. And then, you know, the idea of becoming like, you know, kind of cooler and well liked in social environments, that started to take shape for me. Once that took shape, no, I was not a loner for a very long time. I'm friends with every sort of demographic of people, every sort of, you know, whether you're the athlete, whether you're the quiet kid, you know, drawing in the back of the class, I was friends with everyone. I was respectful of everyone. And I had that sort of, you know, relationship with a lot of people. I dated outside of my culture all the time, you know, like I was out there, very social. And I was also in the music business. So there was the entertainment factor there, did the nightlife thing, all of that. It wasn't until I realized that a lot of that shit is the most meaningful stuff doesn't happen in a crowd. The most meaningful stuff is, can you count on this person? You know, do you sleep well at night? Do you trust your companion? You know, so on and so forth. And that happens in very small numbers. So all of those like vanity things that just make you feel like the cool guy and you're having a good time. I'm buying expensive cars so that some random asshole at a gas station can give me a thumbs up. Like that's the life I was living, right? And that shit is just so meaningless. And so once I came to that realization, I became a loner. I became a loner by choice. I became a loner to only keep things around me that serve me. And in return, when I speak to someone, I want to provide value. I'm not trying to hang out at your fucking barbecue. I don't give a fuck about your sports event. I don't want to hang out. I don't want to fucking hang out. Let's actually have a real connection. Then we'll spend some time together. We'll talk all the time if we have like a real connection. Otherwise, you know, it has to serve me for me to spend time engaging with it, or I want to be providing value for you. And it's just that fucking simple. I do not give a shit about having a million friends. Ironically, I have thousands and thousands of friends now, but it's in the social media space. And I do have a lot of really great relationships that I
Yeah,
have
but
in my
you're talking
personal
about,
life.
you know, you talk about your people, like
In my people, in my life, I need very few people in my life. I do not give a shit about any of that stuff that I used to think I care. I mean, at that point in time, I cared about it, you know? I don't anymore. I just really don't give a fuck.
and isn't it funny? The older we get, we realize that more and more that you only really need a couple of strong people around you in your
Mhm.
circle. That's all. That's all you really need. It's good to have a lot of acquaintances and be, you know, nice with people and have a good, healthy relationship with your with society and that kind of thing. But you know, at the core, all you really need is a handful of people around you
That's
that
it.
are important.
That's it, man. You know,
And that's the most important thing I picked up from everything you said. You had the few people that are important were supportive of you, which
yep.
put you in this place. They didn't force you to become a doctor,
Nope. They would
which
have
I
liked
know,
it, but you know.
which I know from. Listen, I've had a lot of conversations with my girlfriend.
Mm.
There's a lot of pushing of through Indian culture of doctors. There's a lot of that happens. Uh,
Absolutely.
so you didn't have any forcing down your throat as far as you have to do this or you're going to
Right.
shame us and that kind of thing, which is a
Right.
really good thing. It's a really and that's probably one of the reasons you have the kind of attitude you have right now, and it shows even in very dramatic times where like we're talking about CGC controversy stuff like that. You're not an angry dude.
Right.
And that shows you're pretty zen when it comes to a lot of stuff. Even when you're animated and you're riled up, you're kind of zen when it comes to that, and that's
I'm
a good trait.
I'm glad that that's how it comes across, because sometimes I do get really animated and I regret it immediately. I think, man, I sounded like such an angry asshole right then, you know? And
Well,
sometimes I put
compared to some of the assholes that we hear yelling and screaming about all kinds of
right,
shit,
right. No, yeah.
you're kind of like a passive guy compared to a lot of these guys.
I mean, you know, there's a very reasonable way to look at things, right? And that's why sometimes I have to defend myself. Like when there's, you know, very few times you get a comment like that. But since I do consider myself to be someone that has a reasonable perspective, it affects me on a personal level. It's like, well, how could you see me like that? That's not who I am. Like it's crazy, you know? So sometimes I have to defend myself, but I really appreciate that you see that in me. Makes me very happy.
That much I did pick up. I mean, I'm really good at reading people.
I
You
think
know,
you
whether it's over this, whether it's you speaking on screen, when I'm much better in person. Like I could read somebody like this in 5 minutes. I know what they're all about. Whether
yeah.
they're, you know, I'm not even gonna get into that. But
No, yeah, I hear you.
that being said, what are you looking to do from this point forward?
Oh,
Like,
more of the
why don't
same.
you have a YouTube channel?
That's such a good question. And I know
Why aren't you doing a weekly
I
stream where or pre-recorded where you just saying this is what's going on,
oh,
this is
I'm
what
so
I'm
scared of
into.
commitment. I'm so scared of commitment, man. Like
What means commitment? You're on here, you're committed to doing this thing. Why
no,
can't you commit to
I know,
doing
but
your
I
own
don't
thing?
I love the if that's the I I haven't been able to be completely honest with myself about why I haven't started my YouTube channel yet. Like I don't know. I know I should, I know I need to, but then I feel like I'm putting myself out. I don't know yet, but it's like, if I commit to this and I let them down, like my friends, the viewers, if I say I'm going to put out a video every week and then I don't, fuck, I've disappointed them. Why would I want to create an opportunity to disappoint? What a shitty excuse not to do it, right? Like that is
Okay,
me
look
making
at it
a
like
bullshit
this.
excuse.
You're into business, right?
Yeah.
Okay, why can't this part of it be part of your business, where it's an extension of what it is that you do as part of your marketing?
Well, it would absolutely serve that.
You're using IG
Yeah.
in a very similar fashion. Why wouldn't you use YouTube? Because now not only can you use this platform to relay your messages out there, not only can you use this platform to be able to put yourself out there on a consistent basis, but you could also start generating some income from this. Not a lot, but you can generate some income through this, and maybe some
Fear of failure.
advertisers or sponsors.
Cosmic Rob that's a very real thing, my friend. You're absolutely right. And CJ, you are
You don't have the
1000%
fear of
correct.
failure. That's bullshit. You're looking for excuses because
I'm making excuses.
if you had that fear of failure, you wouldn't be doing the IG thing.
Yeah, and I may not have dropped out of high school. I may not have moved to Los Angeles and put out a recording, an album. There's a lot of things I may not have done if I actually had a fear of failure. But there is some reason that I'm hesitant and reluctant even yet, even though I should. Man, it's coming, CJ. That's a silly ass thing to say. It's coming, but it's coming. My YouTube channel.
I mean, you're doing you're on here. You've been on with other people on other people's channels.
I've been so, and that's also scratched my itch of it. I've been so fortunate to have these amazing friends in my life that have opened up their platform to me, and I'm able to sit and do live streams with people like yourself, and we've gotten to know each other great through the course of this stream, and we'll continue to, and perhaps it won't be our last time chatting. I hope it isn't. And this has happened on several other channels, and we've become friends, and I'm regularly on YouTube multiple times a week. You'll find my face. Tomorrow I'm doing a live stream with Graydon. Shout out Graydon. Last Pack Magic. We're doing a Marvel card and comic live stream tomorrow. It's going to be a couple of hours around the same time. So I stay relatively busy on YouTube, but I'm certainly not building any equity in my own channel, which is where I'm fucking up. Like, I'm doing a lot, but I could be doing more. And when you ask me, like, what's the future for me? The future for me is more. Bigger books, more clients, more exposure, more YouTube, more fucking opinions, more relationships, more. I'm not going anywhere as long as the community will allow me to stay. Because I can't grow on my own. I can only grow if I'm appreciated. So I hope to continue delivering value that's appreciated, because I'm fucking here to stay as long as the community allows me to. I am so grateful for what has happened and what I have. And this is a blessing, and it's the happiest I've ever been. It's the coolest space I've ever been in. So just more of this is the answer to that question.
If nothing else gives you the motivation, you said yourself you're getting into more and more original art, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this horizontal screen, like it's watching this, is not the best way to be able to show off art. The YouTube platform like this is much more feasible for that. Just think of that from that aspect alone.
Okay, give me this encouragement. I love that encouragement. So thank you. I'm going to ask you a question, and maybe you'll answer it. Here's the thing. Do I have to put out a video? What if 3 weeks go by and I don't put out a video? Am I a fucking asshole? And
no, not if you haven't trained your channel to be that way.
Got it. Yeah,
you could come out with one video per month.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're going to say, I'm going to do a weekly series every Monday from 7 to 9, for example.
Yeah.
Then you got to commit to it. You know what I'm saying? But if you make a channel where you're literally coming up, I don't know, once a month or once every 2 weeks, and you're basically doing a report.
Yes. No. And I would be so happy to talk about the rare shit that's come into my collection. That okay, a couple things I want to address real quick. Retro Collector. What's going on, my friend? He said, Manu, are you doing your own cleaning and pressing now? No, I am not. And I mean, I'm fascinated by it, but it's just it's not a skill set that I'm going to
I want to talk to you about that. because
Okay,
you
great.
were free. You were soft on that presser the other time.
Who? Which one? Palm Beach?
You
What do you
you
mean?
were freaking you, and I
I
think
wasn't.
MJ. I think you were on MJ's channel. The two of you were freaking soft on that presser.
Wait, what did we have to go hard at him for? He
Well, why
wasn't.
why do you go hard? I know that you had him on to talk about the CGC stuff and stuff like that, but the guy's
Yeah.
saying that he doesn't insure his books. He doesn't do any of that.
Oh, CJ, that was you that asked those
He
damn
doesn't.
questions.
What kind of bullshit is that? You tell me. How did you not call him out? I had to literally bang the freaking doors from the chat to get you guys to ask those questions.
Hear me out. Hear me out real quick, CJ. I highlighted the fact. I did not ignore the fact that you asked the questions. I certainly had no interest in going down that lane during that.
But you were
conversation.
tiptoeing around that because the guy's telling you that he doesn't insure books. He doesn't do the guy fucking works out of his house. Out of his fucking house. And you're sending him fucking expensive fucking collections to press and grade
But
them.
in his shout out Palm Beach Presser.
And he's the one giving you. He's been critical about CGC. Dude, get out of your fucking house. Like right now, he's in Florida, right?
I believe so. Palm Beach.
Okay, so hurricanes. The shit happens, right?
Yes, but what did he say?
CGC at least has freaking business insurance that covers their fucking business.
Yes, of course. But what did Palm Beach Presser say? Because he was very honest in his answers. He said, "Guys, do not send me your shit worth tens of thousands of dollars. That is not what I do. If I have, a book that I damage, I can afford to make it right. Do not send me something that I can't afford to make right."
And what happens if it all happens at one shot with all everybody's books that he's holding? Like right now, knock on wood. I don't want anything bad to happen.
Yeah,
to the
knock
guy.
on wood, man.
No,
yeah,
I'm just saying. But right now we're living in a real serious, like a real situation. You're in Florida. The freaking hurricane comes and eats up your house with all the comics that you're supposed to be pressing there. Now what? Are you gonna pay for them all? You don't even have a house.
You're
fucked because you lost your house. You're in a bad situation, and I feel very bad for you. But all the people that sent you all their stuff, they're not going to be happy either.
CJ, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. My earphones died, but I'm talking directly to the phone now. My audio sounds okay?
Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. That would be a tremendous problem. And I certainly hope something like that doesn't happen.
or let's get even more morbid. How about this? The guy freaking croaks.
Oh, stop.
What, that can't happen? People don't die?
It's just, I wouldn't, we don't have to, I understand. I actually think about that kind of stuff often. Like, well, no, I don't mean to say I think about morbid stuff often, but I had this question in my head the other day. What if you're on like a long-term payment plan with someone? Like,
Thank you.
What if you're paying off like a $60,000 book and it's just over at some guy's house? And you know what I'm saying?
You. That's why I don't do those plans.
Oh gosh. Okay. So I want to address something.
Am I an asshole for thinking like that? I know that everybody thinks that, but nobody verbally says it.
That's the only thing. I'm very careful with what I actually say out of my mouth because I believe in vibration and spirituality and those sorts of things. That's why you see me get a little uncomfortable. It's like we don't have to actually.
But do you think it's going to change anything with the balances if you're thinking it and you're not saying it? You're still thinking it.
No, I mean, this is a very existential conversation. I think that's that word. But speaking something certainly has a different impact than thinking it, because speaking something means it's being heard by someone else, which is obviously having a different sort of ripple.
I hear you.
Just like that. I mean, even on in the mildest ways of looking at it is, let's say you're excited about an accomplishment, something you haven't accomplished yet, right? And you're like, oh, I'm so excited. I have this job interview, or I'm going out for this role in this movie. I might get this role. What you should have done is shut the fuck up and keep it to yourself, because most people want you to fucking fail. So if there is some, truth to someone willing some negativity, in the Indian community, we have a phrase for it. But if there is some truth to someone like, trying to send negative energy out there, well, you don't want them to do that. So just keep it to your fucking self until it's done. Then speak on it. Like, don't get the hate sent your way. Most people are just waiting for you to fail so they could feel better about the fact that they never even fucking tried. That's just how it is. So I like to shut the fuck up most of the time and then celebrate when no one could try to get in the way of my victory because I already have my victory. You know, that kind of thing.
You do it your way, I'll do it my way. I'm going to tell people. I'm going to tell them because they need to hear this shit. Because honestly, it doesn't matter whether it's thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, or in some cases, $50.
Yeah.
For some people, that $50 might be the most important $50 they have. They don't have any more than that, and they don't want to lose it. You know, I know it sounds morbid, it sounds mean to think that way, but the truth is, if you're going to be running a business, and the guy was crying about, oh, it's going to cost $6,000 a year for insurance. Well, fuck you. It's a cost of fucking business. Pay the $6,000, charge $1 or $2 extra per book that you're pressing, and divide it.
CJ, you're so like, I love how the conviction you have, because I tried to take this in a different direction to get you off of that, and then I even took it way out to the universe, and you still brought it right back to that. So kudos to you to making sure, you know, brother.
I want to be clear about that.
I can't.
Listen, I got buddies of mine that are pressers.
Yeah,
I got people that I trust. I'll send them stuff, no problem, that kind of thing. But the truth be said, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to send them my freaking X-Men #1 or my freaking expensive books. I'm just not. I want somebody to insure that for me.
I hear you. Well, you know, your friends over at Hero Restoration had insurance. How'd that go?
Yeah. Guess what? I could sue the insurance to get my money back.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Actually, I just said that shit just to have something to say, because I don't actually know if they had insurance over there or not. And I don't even like talking about this situation. What a rough situation.
What do you think of that asshole? What's his story?
Dude, what a shock. Like, what a weird, jeez, bro. I just hope whoever can possibly be made right, hopefully they are. And hopefully they're so well-to-do that they don't even care if they are or not. Like, what a shit situation.
This
and now
guy's like the Madoff of the comic community. This guy was like a respected guy.
But I also feel bad for him. You know, like.
Well, wait, hold on. Why do you feel bad for him?
No, I don't feel. It's separated in my mind, and what I mean is, this poor guy has put himself in a situation where he's gonna have to be in jail now. Like, just what a fucking shame is what I'm saying. It's a sad situation all around. You know,
it's sad for his family. For him,
yeah.
Hey, look what you did.
I know.
Look what you did.
Fucking crazy.
What the hell is that all about? He's probably not even going to eat jail time. If he does, it's going to be minimal. How much jail time do you think he's going to get?
I really don't even know how any of that shit works, to be honest.
How egregious do you think a court is going to get to somebody for hustling people over comic books? Think about it like this.
No, you make a good point, yeah.
You know, maybe he'll get a year or two in jail. Is that going to teach him a lesson? Maybe.
CJ, Cosmic Rob says CJ is no gray dude, just not how the world works sometimes. What's he saying?
Maybe he means that I don't look in gray. It's black and white for me, kind of a thing.
Oh, maybe so.
That's the way I'm reading it. Because I do in most of my life and most of my outlook on many items is black and white. It's either this way or this way. There is gray. Don't get me wrong. There is some gray. There is some gray areas, but I tend to like either something's right or if it's wrong for the most part.
Dude, I don't tell everybody everything. There are plenty of things that are in the gray that I am aware of completely that I don't feel is beneficial to the community to make a fucking fuss about. The gray area is not about to get erased. You just have to know how to navigate it. You know, there's a lot of gray. Stunt Bike Jake, thank you. He said Manu dropping the philosophical lessons. Thank you for the comment. CJ, if you don't mind, this is a feel-good thing real quick, but Jose said, start with a Wizard 1 video. And CJ, you don't know this about me. I do know.
You had that Wizard 1.
I have a lot of Wizard 1s. I have a very close relationship with Wizard 1s. I have the rarest of them, like the rarest of them, and some other quite rare ones. And I've sold very rare ones, and I love them. And the reason, I mean, like I love them. And I didn't know if I was going to show you anything, so I did bring a few of my loves out. But since Jose brought it up, I want to show Jose something new.
Wait, hold on a second, because are you about to do a look at me on my channel?
What's
Is that what you're doing?
No, it's a look at us. You don't have to make me big
No,
screen.
no. Hold on. You're gonna make a look at me for you on this channel, because like we don't do this very often, especially when it comes to doing this stream on the influencer. So this is a big deal that you're doing a look at me. So we have to like really give you the proper attention. I'm gonna give you the big screen.
I'm so.
And not only are you gonna get the big screen of your look at me, how about we all just take a moment and look at you?
Look at me. Hey, everybody, look at me.
Are you even listening to me?
Look at me. Hey, everybody, look at me.
What the fuck?
Look at you.
You are, dude. I even had to get into the chat with that. I was like, holy shit, I didn't expect that. So I thank you for introducing me to this segment. That's awesome. That's hilarious.
It's not a normal segment on this program. You're going into rare territory here.
I'm super honored, CJ. I appreciate it. Really quickly, I'm going to show one of my favorite things in the world, and I'm not going to go into the whole story. If anyone wants the whole story, message me on Instagram. This is what we talk about. This is the stuff we love. So here's the only Wizard one in the world as a 9.8 that is signed by Stan Lee. Also, it happens to be signed by Todd Full Todd, but this is the only 9.8 in existence signed by Stan Lee. The only other one signed by Stan is a few notches lower on the grade. Again, I have a way that I verified this. At the time that I verified this, there were only 4 9.8s of any Wizard, SDCC, Newstand, or Direct. Now there's over 100 9.8s. There were only 4. I went through channels of CGC to get this verified as the only one. I'll tell the story another time, but I love this. This is one of the things that the price to get rid of this is a make me sell it price. And I've gotten very close to actually saying yes to a certain number, but ultimately couldn't see myself letting go of it for that price. So I did not, but that's not what I wanted to show Jose. Jose's aware of that. Prior to Wizard, I also own the prototype for Wizard number 1, one of the actual prototype I'll show later. But finally, for the first time, I have in my collection the thing that came even before the prototype of Wizard 1, which was what Gareb Shamus, the founder of Wizard, printed on a copy machine in the back room of his father's comic book store called The Wizard of Comics. That's where the name for Wizard magazine comes from. That owner's son, Gareb, wanted a price guide, and he printed up this. He printed up a few hundred of these in the back room, and then he put a stamp on them, would go there, and he mailed them to comic book stores around the United States. And many of them were written on. There's a questionnaire on the inside. They wrote and they filled it out. And a few of the good shops, as Gareb personally told me, he said the good shops sent them back to me. But he tells me they only made a couple hundred. Now, every now and then you see a collector that shows one of these on their page. This does not have to be graded to be valuable. In fact, this is the lowest grade on the census. This is a 7.0. There are only 5 on the census: a 9.8, 2 9.6s, a 7.5, and a 7.0. I want this in any grade. I want as many of these as I can find. This is the only one that's ever been made available to me for sale, and I've been looking for 4 years. And I'm so fucking happy to finally have the Wizard Pocket Guide. McFarlane art on it, printed in the back room of a comic shop. This is what later became Wizard magazine. In here is just a couple of black and white pages with recent sales from his father's comic book store. How fucking cool is that?
It's extremely cool. The only thing that I find that's not cool about that and
What?
terrifies me,
What?
how easy is it to counterfeit that?
Don't say that out loud. I know.
That terrifies the shit out of me.
It
when
is
it comes to that.
extreme. Not only I know. And
Is there any way to authenticate the ink from the printer that it was done on there? Like, can you get like all CSI on that thing?
100%. But CGC doesn't go to those lengths. That would go to one of those museum level people. But yes, you can certainly time the ink, you know, or whatever the fuck they call it. But we don't go through those lengths in these sorts of companies. But yeah, you're absolutely fucking right. If someone shows you a crispy, minty, stupidly sharp copy of this, question it. Absolutely fucking question it.
what is the value on a book like that? If you don't
So-
mind sharing with us.
You know what? I don't mind. I paid $1,200 for this. Oh fuck! I can't believe I just said that. I paid $1,200 for this, but it took a lot for me to get it for $1,200 because it was actually being advertised at $2,000, which is not crazy. And the reason it was being advertised at $2,000 is because the 7.5 sold for $1,850, and that's a recorded sale. But I would pay $900 to $1,000 for any condition of this. I'm telling you right now, any fucking condition. This grade means shit on this. I would have paid $1,200 for this raw. It just happened to cost me $1,200. I tried my hardest to get it for $9, because what I was trying to say to the gentleman that sold it to me, who is now a friend, who it was a great transaction, I was trying to tell that person, hey man, I don't give a fuck if it's a 7.0. I'm buying it like it's raw, and I want to spend, you know, less than $1,000 on a raw copy. And so I want it for $900, and then I got to $1,000. Long story short, he was really adamant about getting as close to $2,000 as possible. We moved the conversation off of eBay. We had some pleasantries exchanged. I ended up being able to get it for $1,200, PayPal, friends and family. I'm fucking happy with that price. If anyone has this ungraded, I don't give a fuck if it's torn up. You're getting at least $900 from me for it. There's a 9.8 for sale on eBay right now, 35 grand. I'll tell you now, I don't think it's worth 35 grand. Is anyone going to pay 35 grand? Maybe, but values have to step. A 9.8 has never been sold. I know everything about that 9.8, by the way. If anyone wants to do a deep dive of where that copy came from or everything about it, I know everything about it. But do I think it's worth 35K? No. Do I think, well, you know, it's not yet.
Well, why not? Why don't you think? Like the fact that it's so rare, how many do you think are in existence at this moment that are not written up?
Less than 100. Less than 100, period, is what I think exist.
And a Wizard, which was printed in the millions.
Justin, what up? Well, not all of them. Issue number 1 has a print run of, well, anyway, we could talk about it later. I know all the
hundreds of thousands at least, right?
So say again?
Hundreds of thousands?
Yeah, I think Wizard 1's print run was 100,000. The SDCC version is 10,000, and the Newstand is a fraction of the direct, which would be the overall 100,000.
Okay, just say 100,000 on much better paper, a better quality book. It was a little bit better taken care of than this like little pamphlet that was sent out to everybody in the mail. You know,
yeah.
Why is it worth so much less?
No, here's the thing.
So that's one of the things about the collecting part of it that I don't understand. Is the desirability not there for it to raise it beyond? What is it?
It's absolutely there. I just want to keep this on the screen. It's absolutely there. But here's what I mean by, see, I didn't like the fact that I said that out loud. It's not that I don't think the 9.8 is worth 35K. I just think it hasn't gotten to 35K yet. It's too difficult a proposition for the first one to ever be graded. It was only graded less than a year ago. And for it to hit the market at 35K without having that opportunity to get to 35K is where it's like, man, who the fuck's going to give you 35K for it? Everybody that's considered buying that book asked me about it.
Somebody has to set the floor. If you're the only one that has a 9.8 available to the public, and you say I want 100,000 for it, guess what? You're not getting it any less than 100,000 if I'm not dropping the price.
That's my same situation with this one. This is the only one in existence. It's the only one that exists. My price is astronomical, and obviously the people that haven't paid me my price believe it's not worth it. But that's what I would sell it for, and that's what the individual that has, well, it's sort of what the individual that has the 9.8 is doing. But I just think it's more reasonable for that book to sell for like 15K first. Like if it went up for 15K, it's gone, right? It's not selling at 35K because there's nothing making the consumer feel comfortable spending that kind of money yet. There's no price action evidence yet. And the education for it is really not there. I spread the education for it as much as I can. Yes, it's considered Kamikaze. Yes, this is considered the Wizard Ash Can. It's also very commonly referred to as the pocket guide. You can see right there, it says the official comic book pocket guide. So if you do ever want to search this, you would search Wizard Pocket Guide Ash Can, right? or some combination of all of that.
And only dealers had this. Only shops actually had this in their possession. No, like normal consumer had
Well,
this.
you know, I can't say that for certain because Justin, I'm gonna answer that in a second, Justin. I can't say that for certain because I would have to ask Garib again, and I will. But you know, while Garib was at his family shop, they may have actually given them out to customers at the shop. They may have had a few sitting next to the cash register. Why not?
But only from their shop.
Only from their shop. These were
Yeah,
printed
so
in the
you
back
know
of their
about
shop.
literally a freaking handful of them.
Oh yeah, dude, this is truly rare stuff. Like, this is the good shit. This doesn't have to be graded to matter. It just makes it cooler if it's a high grade. This is the stuff that I love. It's amazing no matter what piece of plastic it's in, or if it's in plastic or not, right? And so I do want to take a moment just to answer a couple of things real quick. Jose said, what was the price being offered on Stanley Wizard 1? Jose, I'm going to keep that. I'll tell you about that in private. And then I've talked about it publicly before, but we're in a different environment now, and it's kind of cringy to say. And you said there's a 9.8 for sale on eBay right now. Yeah, this 35K, we covered that. ATLK dog, what's up, my man? Pleasure speaking to you last night. Thank you for the kind, generous offer on the stream. And it's really nice to see you here with us. Thank you. My friend Spidey Hits, Justin is in here. He said, I'm in here right in time. I'm here just in time. Yes, you are. And he asked a question. He said, what would you sell the 7.0 for? Well, I just paid $1,200 for it. And to be completely honest, I need to just enjoy it for a while. When I do sell this, I'm going to sell this for over $1,500. There's no question about that. But I don't know where. But it's definitely going to be at least $1,500. But finally, the thing is with me. I cannot be without it yet. Perhaps
My
not
mind is
until I
so
have it
wired
set.
differently. When it comes to stuff like that, I'm wired so differently.
Tell me,
Like,
what do you mean? Hit me.
but like I can't, like, if I had a book like that, you said literally there's 4 pieces of that book that are on CGC right now.
5, yes, yeah, correct.
5 of
Yeah.
various grades.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have one nut that's asking for 35 right now, and he's a well warranted nut because he's the only one that has it available right now.
It's the only one that exists, yeah.
Whether he's going to sell it or not, my mind goes like this: why am I not putting it up for $5,000?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I didn't pay $1,200 for it because I think it's worth $1,200. I paid $1,200 for it because I feel really good owning it at $1,200. You know,
No, I'm just saying. You said minimum 1,500. I'm thinking minimum $5,000.
No,
because
I hear you, but I'm just being completely honest. I have such good relationships with certain clients that there are clients of mine that are friends that could literally hit me and say, "Hey, Manu, throw that into my next order," and their order might be $7,000. I might just turn that order into $8,500 and include this. Like, I'm just that way. Just because this is the first one, huh?
That's a different scenario altogether. Like, if
Yeah, but that's kind of when I'm talking about $1,500 price for this. I'm talking about someone that I've done 6 figures worth of business with in the last 2 years, sort of thing. That kind of client can get that. If I'm going to put this on eBay, I'm not listing this at $1,500 on eBay. There's absolutely no way that I'm doing that.
Am I off thinking $5,000 minimum listing price?
No, actually, why the fuck would I ever challenge you in that? I'm going to just go ahead and, even if I'm not completely there with you, I'm going to get myself there with you because that's obviously better for me.
But think about it. If he's at 35, okay, with a 9.8.
Yeah, but I feel like he should be at
only 4 other ones available that aren't on the market. One of them, which you have.
And there's a recorded comp. Do we put value on recorded comps?
What is the recorded comp?
$1,850 for a 7.5.
For a 7.5, $1,850. And how long ago was that?
That's a year ago.
A year ago. Okay, so a year, things happen. A lot of things happen. Like a book goes up for $35,000 on eBay.
Yes.
So my mindset is put it up for $10,000 on eBay. Whoever gets that is getting it $25,000 less than the 9.8s available.
I mean, this is true.
And if you think I'm crazy,
I don't.
Well, put me to the test. Go put it on eBay for that much and see if you get somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 for it.
No, this was just on eBay for a month for $2,000.
And didn't go?
I'm the owner of it now for $1,200, a private deal outside of eBay. It took a month of convincing that gentleman to sell it to me for way less than he was asking, because currently the market isn't quite at that space.
Well, guess what? Manu's not as wishy-washy as the seller that sold it to you. 10 grand. That's it.
You know, fucking, when I transact this, I'll let you know what happens. But
That's like New York in me.
No, I love it, man.
I'm not talking about taking advantage of anybody. I'm not talking about anything, but you have to take a look at the market the way it is.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever argued the value down of anything I have. I'm going to tell you another story real quick because I'm enjoying this. And friends in the chat have seen this before.
And I think people are maniacs for paying the price they do. But since they do, go ahead and pay for it. That's the way my mindset goes.
Maximum Carnage, Acclaim. Do you know this book, CJ?
Yeah, that's another maniac book.
It's a maniac fucking book. This book, surviving this grade, is insane. This is not the only 9.8 I've had. And this book, I submitted this to the signing. Look how beautiful Sienkiewicz
only GameStop or Toys R Us or something like that, right? It was only
there were some that you could. It was basically if you pre-ordered the Maximum Carnage game in 1994, these were put in an envelope and they were mailed to you. There are some you could have picked up in person. I actually have the envelopes that these were mailed in. They're fucking crazy. I love collecting those as well. But Stunt Bike Jake says Manu does offer profit nuts. I do. I'm big on that. That's fucking awesome. And so in any case, this is a book that the market is down right now. I've owned another signed copy of this as well, 9.8, but it was signed in gold and it was very difficult to see the signature. I sold that one for $4,500, $4,600, something of that sort. I don't remember. I've also sold Blue Label 9.8s of this in a different market for over $4,000. But again, this book is a book that I very much love. There's only 3 9.8s on the census. I was the owner of 2 of the yellow labels, and I sold one, and there's another yellow label, which I've never seen. But this is the only one I'd imagine that is this beautiful, because it's fucking beautiful. And I've rarely ever talked myself out of selling something, but one of those clients that does great business with me had a special price on this, because he wanted it, and I put a price on it. And it's thousands and thousands of dollars, but it's much less than I was comfortable taking for it. I actually had it on eBay for a little while for like $7,500, just for advertisement's sake, right? Like if someone paid $7,500 for it, fine, I'd shed a tear, they could have it. And the day we're finalizing the deal, it's the first time I've ever done this. I said, bro, I'm so sorry, man. I have to back out of the deal. Like some things, I guess, guys, do you think comics is all about money? No, I'm telling you right now, I wasn't able to sell this even for a great deal of money. I graded this book from raw. It's essentially all profit for me. And I couldn't say no to this.
You bought that through the game?
No. I sourced a couple dozen of these over the past few years. In 1994, I didn't even know this book existed. I knew the game existed, but I did not know this book existed. So
you paid a premium to buy that book?
Okay, I'll tell you my cost into this. My cost on this book itself is probably about $350. This came to me when I bought 10 of them at one time for one person, roughly 10. My cost on the book itself is probably $350. It got pressed. It went to the Sienkiewicz signing. It came back a 9.6 originally. So let's just say that brings my cost to 600 something, right? Fuck it, let's cost 700. Years later, I thought, dude, I just got a 9.8 on one, and that 9.8 doesn't look as good as this. Why'd they screw me with the 9.6? I don't know. Sent it back to have it reevaluated, got the 9.8 on it. So let's say I'm into this thing $900, okay? But when I'm talking about selling this thing, I'm talking about 4 times, 5 times, 6 times that, and I refused that offer. I was just like,
yeah, but that being said, the whole process you went through, the money that you invested into this book and that kind of thing, it kind of is about the money. Because if it wasn't about the money, we wouldn't be willing to pay these, myself included, we would not be paying these ludicrous amounts of money for pieces of paper that are stapled together.
Wait,
so it is about the money.
Wait. If we're willing to pay money for it because it's about the money, or we're willing to pay money for it because it's about the love, the passion, the nostalgia?
If you didn't feel you could get a return for those books at any given time, would you be paying that amount of money for those books?
Thank you, Justin. Have a good night. Sorry, if I didn't think, no. I'm speaking for myself here. But
I'm saying for yourself, if you didn't think you could get a return, at least break even.
No,
But what
absolutely not.
you
Everything that I own, I am very confident that I am going to make a profit on if and when I sell. I do not
so
keep anything that I do not have equity in or zero cost in. A lot of the things that I own, even if they're worth tens of thousands of dollars, I have $0 in them because I purchased them in lots, made my money back selling everything else, graded the key piece of treasure out of that treasure chest, and that is mine now. Zero
which
cost, worth 10 to 20.
which translate to what does that translates to?
Oh, I'm not saying I'm not about the money, but I'm not all
But
about the
comics
money.
in general, it's about the money. It is.
Yeah, why not?
It is.
I mean, I'm not
It
even
is
opposed to saying that.
because we're not the 5-year-old kid that's
can we go
buying it
back
for
to
the
both
joy.
of us?
You want to go? You want to go? Yeah, I hear. I'll put you over your name again. There you go.
Thanks, because I want to talk to you. No, so okay, CJ, let me take a step back and let's pretend that we didn't just have this conversation because I want to go back to Swag's comment. Swag says, exactly, but CJ's running with it, Swag, so we're gonna make it serious now. He goes, guys, do you think comics is all about the money? He's saying it
I
playfully,
know.
but
I know he's fucking with us. I know that what he's doing, but
the thing is,
there is
he
truth in
would
that.
exactly. He doesn't just fuck around with it if it isn't a top of mind thought. Comics is absolutely I not, it's not, it is all about the money. We love the fucking money. We love the values. We love knowing that we own something. It might be worth more later. But there are absolutely collectors in this community that do not give a fuck at all about the value. And what I mean is they're not even pursuing high grades. They just want the full runs. They want the books. They're buying the reader copies. They don't give a fuck about resale value or anything.
That's a different way of collecting. And if you're buying it in a disposable form, and that's kind of what you're describing, it's a different story. Just like
Yeah.
gum. You're buying
Money
the
is,
gum, you're chewing the gum, you're enjoying the flavor of it, and then you
yeah.
spit it out. Same
Check
way
this out.
as getting disposable comics.
I tell you, I can't tell you this story. Fuck. You're right. But for me, yes, the money is an absolutely huge part of it. But that's because I love it. I love making a profit off of something I love. It feels fucking amazing.
But anybody that's buying books of any significant cost,
They have to consider the
any kind
money.
of premium, it's got to be about the money. Because I don't care if you're keeping it collected it forever. I don't care if you're going to be buried with it. It is about the money because you just dropped a boatload of money on a comic book. So there is about the money at some point, and that's something that people like to not like touch.
Man,
Like
I'm not afraid of that. I incorporate the money talk into everything. Like I'm not shy about that at all. Like it is absolute, dude. I'm spending all of my time engaging with this stuff. I'm not trying to fill my room up with $1 million worth of books that I can't sell for $250,000. If I've got $1 million worth of shit, that's gonna net me $2 million when I'm done with it. It's just how it is.
Listen, Cosmic Rob, I had my encounter with Comic Tom way before his encounter with the goose. Okay.
Wait, but who's he talking about here? Is he saying Tom would have been here or Goose would have been here?
I think Goose would have been here.
I think that's what he's saying. Yeah.
Or Tom. Either one. I've had them both. I've had both of them on here.
Oh, Goose was on your channel?
Oh yeah, I've had him. I had him on a year ago, well before all the controversy. I was one of the guys that brought him to the forefront of the controversy.
Oh shit! I didn't know that, dude. Well, you and I are only recently getting acquainted in that regard, so I didn't know. Swag says how to properly price nostalgia is a lot of what my channel is about. I love
Bingo.
it. That's
Bingo.
what we're constantly trying to do. Yep.
You know that's actually one of the things I like. What Swag does is there's a lot of pointed comments in a lot of the videos he makes. That it's all in jest and that kind of thing, but there's so much fucking truth in a lot of the stuff that he's joking about. Like there's a lot of stuff when I'm listening, I'm like, yeah, he's poking fun at this, but it is so fucking true. Well, with the comic indexes that he does and the way people react to a lot of stuff, you know, it's a weird. Our community, this comic book community, is a very strange community.
Yeah.
As far as where their mindsets are, they don't know what they want. They're like that that lover you have that doesn't know what the hell she wants. She says she wants one thing one day, and then the other day she says one day, "Hey, I want you to show more attention to me," and then the next day, "Hey, stop smothering me." That's the kind of that's the kind of community we have. That's the kind of thing that we have right now. You know, it's so strange and it's so weird. Yeah, thank you, BFit. See, BFit knows. I had Sticky Goose in that interview with that link right there. But
I'm
don't
gonna
go to
watch
that link
that.
now because now we're on with Newsstand. Go after and you could watch. No, I had him on, I had Tom on, I had Swag on twice.
Yeah, I know Swag's been here. Oh, Neo's in the building. What up? Neo Cards and Comics. He says, how many Wizard 9 has 9.9 pump tonight? Only 2 tonight, my friend, but they've been the rarest in the world. So, it's got an exponential pump. It's 2 to the rarest degree. So
10,000.
yeah,
10,000.
I worked smarter, not harder. Literally pulled out 2 of the most scarce books in the world.
You hear me, Manu? 10,000. Not a penny less. You put it up 10,000. Would that be a selling price for you? If somebody said, hey, Manu.
Are you
I'll
kidding?
give you-
Dude, someone can give me $3K for it right now. It could be gone. So yes, at 10K, it's gone.
So put it up for 10K.
I'm
Let's
not
see
ready
what
to
happens.
part with that yet. I love that. Okay, I want to show you something. Just came into the
10K will make you part with it. You'll be so happy to part.
I wasn't going to show this, but it's right here. And this Neo, this, I feel like there's some overlap in this between Neo and I, because Neo loves X-Men. I mean, who doesn't love X-Men? But like Neo buys Wolverine stuff, X-Men stuff, has dope things, has the Pressman copy of X-Men #1, or whichever the cover is, I don't remember, but the Pressman 9/8, dope shit, right? And so I love McFarlane, I love Spidey, I love Wolverine, I love X-Men, but I love Spidey, love McFarlane. And we all know that there's this series called Marvel Tales, right? It reprints things on the inside, but it has original art for many of the covers. And McFarlane did some really amazing covers for Marvel Tales. Marvel Tales number 235 is Spidey with the X-Men on the cover. It's fucking gorgeous. It looks way better in person than it does on screen, but I'll show it in a second. 9/8s are dope. 9/8 directs are dope. 9/8 newsstands are dope. Dude, I just acquired a 9/8 Mark Jewelers of Marvel Tales 235.
That's impressive.
Isn't that fucking amazing? And it's a beautiful copy.
That's super hard to find. Okay, where are your notes? Why is it a 9.8 and not a 9.9?
I don't know, but this one could be. This one is one. This is a stupidly impressive fucking copy.
Now we're gonna go back to the earlier part of my gripe with CGC.
Look at this.
Why is that not a 9.9?
I don't know, but I didn't grade this one. I just had the opportunity to acquire it, and it was half of what I would have been willing to pay for it. So I didn't waste any fucking time buying this damn thing.
It's a beautiful book.
Thank you, my friend. No banana. Perfectly flat.
Congratulations on making that acquisition. That's a good one. I'm a big fan of those Marvel Tales covers.
Isn't that all? Fuck me.
I'm actually a big collector of non-Spider-Man title McFarlane work and non-Spawn. Like I like going back and picking up all the stuff that he did that was not on Amazing or on his Spider-Man title, pre-Spawn stuff, where he's the Conan cover, the
the Conan cover,
the Hulk covers that he did. He did a lot of great stuff. So I'm really digging that. That's some original art. You would love to have your hands on some of that original McFarlane art.
Oh, dude, I can only dream of the day because those fucking pieces. Oh,
was it Dinesh that has the copy of?
Dinesh has ASM 300. He's got the original of the 300.
That's a nice piece to have.
Yeah, Dinesh also. Dinesh owns. Shout out Dinesh, man. What's funny is like I don't go out too often and anything like that, but I did go to San Diego. I was there during SDCC, but I was there for something else. I didn't actually go to the event, but I was out in the streets and I ran into Dinesh. Like it was my first time meeting him in person, so that was nice. He's
incorrect, sir. Coyote is his first art.
Is it Coyote? Yeah, I think it is Coyote actually.
I think number 12.
And then what is the Comic Journals issue? Is it Comic Journal 84 that has the first ever published McFarlane art? It's like he submitted a drawing of Batman or something and it got published.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's Comics Journal magazine, but I don't remember the number. I think it's 84. Recently, someone ripped the page out and had it signed at a McFarlane submission, and then my friend bought it, and I think it's fucking awesome.
That is awesome. I don't know if I would want to rip it out, but
yeah, they ripped it out. Yeah.
I don't know if No, Swaggle. Nobody
Wait,
likes Dark Horse.
Wait, but
Only
does
you
he
like
really
it.
though? Does Dinesh really own Dark Hawk One's original? That's fucking cool.
He has that just to troll Mickey with that.
Oh,
He
here's 4 more CGC graded Wizard newsstands. Wizard One newsstands over here, but those are 9.8s. There are a few 9.6s there and stuff though.
Have you ever gotten them? Was that one of the books that remind me? Did that ever come in a poly bag?
No, Wizard number 1 actually didn't come in a poly bag. Neither did 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think the poly bag started at issue number Venom is issue number 9. That didn't come poly bag. It's either 10 or 11. 11 definitely came poly bag. 11 is the McFarlane Spawn cover. Amazing fucking cover. And I'm going to read that in a second. And I think that might have started the poly bag. So it's either 10 or 11 because 9 absolutely did not come poly bagged. And Wizard number 9, the Venom cover, is the most difficult newsstand to track down in high grade. And there's still not a 9.8 of it. And I still don't own a 9.8 of it. What did RMS say?
I'll take your word for it. You're the Wizard guy. I just didn't remember where the poly bag started and where they ended.
Perhaps 11. So Ryan says Manu was known as the Wizard One connoisseur, but this year has evolved to the voice of the hobby for third-party grading. So happy to see my friend making noise in the hobby. We love, much love, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Brother.
So let's go back to the grading companies.
Back to the grading.
Because I feel like we kind of left this unfinished, this conversation. We talked about CGC and their inadequacies. We talked about CBCS and their problems. We talk about the venture that PSA is taking right now. We didn't talk about some of the other ones. And I don't know if they're too low under your radar as far as they're concerned, or do you feel that they're just not even worth the conversation? And that's companies like Halo, which is over in Australia.
Not familiar enough with them to have any opinion on it, to be honest.
There is also another grading company, which the name of it is actually like evading me right now. That's over in Europe.
PGX, where are we at?
PGX and EGS are national. They're domestic. But there is another one that's over, I believe, in Germany, either in Germany or in France.
Okay.
Which is not as known, but there are other companies hovering around. Now, as far as domestic, PGX, one of the reasons that they're basically so under the radar of everybody is all the scandals and all the controversies that they had on their plate, which were all, in a lot of cases, a lot more egregious than anything we've seen out of CBCS or from CGC. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with their history, but they have quite a
with PGX's history.
Yeah,
I'm familiar enough to know that it's not.
Yeah, they have a shady history in themselves. And then you got a player like EGS, which is interesting, and it's hard to know where this could go with EGS. And I'll tell you why. One of the biggest things that they do is that they do the custom labels, which is a nice novelty to putting on comics. They give you notes on every single book. It doesn't matter if it's a 9.9 or if it's a 0.5. They're going to put notes on everything on there, which is a positive. They give you a certificate with all the notes on it on the back. It'd be nice if it was on the slab itself, but I'll take the certificate just to be honest. They don't have a census. It's a one-man show, and it needs to have some money behind it in order to, go to the next level. Like, I feel like it's one of those venture capital kind of situations where you're going to have some big money behind it to push it or get it bought out to get to the next level. But there's something to that. And now something that be based on that custom labeling that they do and that ability to put things that are non-graded, which is a big deal. And that's something I think CGC is lacking. And the fact that you're now getting more involved with art as well, I feel that's where a lot of these great grading companies need to start going into. They need to start slabbing and verifying artwork. And CGC, one of the biggest problems that they have is, like, if you send them a sketch cover that you've done at a con or something like that, they'll grade it. I don't want my comic that has original art on it graded, because I don't give a shit about the canvas itself.
You just want it to be authenticated.
I want it authenticated.
Mhm.
CBCS does do art labels where they don't put a
Right.
grade on them
Right.
and they put on. How do you feel about stuff like that? Where if you get a comic that has a sketch cover done for you by a McFarlane or he doesn't do them anymore, but I'm just saying, just for argument's sake,
Yeah.
a Silvestri, a major person, and they got crazy with that book. They started grinding hard with the pencils and everything like that, which is
Yeah.
part of the artistic process. It's
Yeah.
going to fuck up the integrity of the book itself, but that doesn't change anything that it's an original piece of art by that talented artist.
Correct. What the significance there is, it is a one of one piece of art. Who the fuck cares what the grade is?
Well, that's what I want to get to. Do you care about the grades when it comes to stuff like that?
Here's
Like if
the
you
way-
had would you care if it came back instead of a 9.9, it came back a 6.9, for example? Whatever, 6.5.
No, I totally hear what you're saying, and it's a bit nuanced for me, but my answer to it is, I'm gonna take this because I've had to consider this more with cards. This is a conversation I'm in a lot with people that like sketch cards, and they say, I want to grade my sketch card. They pack pull an original art card, a sketch card, and they say, I want to grade it. And I'm like, well, what are you grading it for? Because in cards that there's many of, it's not a one of one where there's multiples, you grade it so that your higher grade one can be the cooler one, you sell that for more money. But if there's only one of them, who the fuck are you competing with in the grade? Like, what are you setting the value based on the grade? It's the one of one. The value is based on the fact that it's a one of one. But if your sketch card can come back a PSA 10, well, that does make it cool, right? So you are going to be able to get a premium for that grade. So if I have a comic book sketch cover, which I do not do, like when I'm talking about original art, I'm not talking about comic book covers.
No,
which
but
I
I'm
think
putting it in terms of grading.
no, of course. And so I have to put myself in the shoes of an individual that has one. So if I have an original comic art cover, I had someone draw it, so on and so forth. If I thought that it would get a premium, if I'm selling it, and it would get a premium as a 9.8, and I thought it looked like a 9.8, perhaps I would give that a shot just to get that cool factor premium. But if I thought it would grade anything other than 9.8, then I would absolutely not waste my time, and I would only be grading it for the novelty, because someone will buy into the premium factor of it, even though it's complete nonsense, arbitrary, and means nothing. But no, I would not be grading it just for the sake of. I wouldn't be like, oh, this looks like a 7.5. Let me why would I? No, I wouldn't. The value is in the artwork. It's the same reason I wouldn't fucking grade an original piece of art that I bought. Why would I grade it? It's the same reason. The value is in the fact that it is a one of one. But there is this weird coolness factor that gets attached if you are able to achieve the grade, the desired grade. But if it's anything other than that, it was a waste of time, and it actually just makes it look silly.
Well, CGC does give an option to be able to authenticate, either witness or authenticate original art.
They do. They put it in that thin thing, and
Yeah, like almost laminate kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you think doing that with pages is worthwhile for people?
Oh, that might be kind of cool. Just to get it authenticated and get it somewhat protected. That might be kind of cool.
Instead of the way these asshole dealers with the art, did you see how they keep their art pages at the booths and at the cons and all that stuff?
Dude, I've seen some that like
I'm mortified.
Dude, I cringe when someone let's say you have a portfolio, right? But and let's say it's pencils, and then you take this page out and you're just holding it like this. You're holding the pencil, then you're holding the white part. Yeah, I get it. You don't care. It already looks a little it's dirty already. It's 30, 40 years old. But why are you fucking it up even more?
Dude, they're just jamming them.
It's
into,
crazy.
It's a box. They're just flinging them like it's the amount of for a culture where it is so about the condition.
Yeah.
To take original art and treat it in the way they do, I'm mortified. I don't understand how that works and how the consumer tolerates that.
I agree
like if
with
I was
you
an art if I had an art booth, if I was an art dealer, and I was selling everybody's artwork. First of all, from the artist point of view, I want to show respect to the artist that sold the art to me or I'm representing.
Mhm.
I put it in nice little mylars or cellophane type of plastic,
Yes.
something.
Yes.
I make it look nice. Put it in books so people could look at it, and then one by one, okay, will you like this piece? We'll take it out and we'll put it in a nice envelope for you, and you take it home.
100%.
No, I'm gonna fling it at you like it's a snot rag.
Like
I
it
don't-
doesn't fucking matter. Like I've got 10,000 of these. Here's this one. Here's this one. It's yeah.
It mortifies me. I don't understand how that works.
But that's why when I think about my future and I think about, getting into the dealings of original art, I'm going to be representing digital art the way that I've represented all of the stuff that I've sell. Like I'm going to take my own.
Did you say digital art?
Did I say digital art?
Yeah, you just said digital art. That's why I'm asking.
That's really weird because I absolutely didn't mean to say that. But when I get into the world of original art, selling it. No, I think I said my dealings in. I said my dealings in art, and it maybe sounded like maybe I said digital art, but I didn't mean to, of course, because how the fuck do you sell that? That's a fun question, Swag. Fun conversation to have with Swag about grading digital stuff, but we'll talk about that in a second. When I do get into the world of selling original art, I'm going to do it with the level of pride that I think it should be done. I'm going to showcase things the way that I think they deserve to be, package things the way that I think they deserve to be, and all of it. Like I'm going to raise the bar on that. And, we have old school dealers that are just used to they're the guys that have all the shit. And so they just think about it as it's a matter of fact. Oh, I'm that guy. There's a new generation of people that are working their way up in the ranks, and hopefully we do things with a different level of tact. That's what
I
I
got
would like to do.
full blown arguments with people. But going back to the grading companies,
Mhm.
do you think these littler companies, these fledgling up and comers, have an opportunity to be able to gain any ground in the future, or do you think it should either you're going to come in with heavy duty money, or you're going to go bust?
No, I think somebody with ambition and a dream absolutely has a chance, and along the way they can raise money as they need it. But there are certain times you see something at the very beginning, and you can tell that the individual at the helm doesn't have the right vision or the right eye for it anyway, and you could kind of just be like, "That's not going to work." And sometimes you could eat your words and be wrong, but if you don't say it out loud, you don't have to be held to that. But if somebody is ambitious, has the motivation to see it through and is willing to solve problems and work their way into becoming respected, absolutely someone can start from the ground up. Is that a very difficult task for them? Certainly. Is it going to be easier for a major company to start, like PSA entering? Absolutely. But you can also just have the ambition to build something big enough to be bought out, and you could take on an infusion of capital that way and remain on as as an executive or some position and carry it to the finish line that way. I definitely think it's possible. And the reason what was that last comment that was on?
If CGC keeps operating the way they have, that creates opportunity for small and graded companies to come in and do
100%. And Soberface, good to see you, my friend. 100%.
Yes and no, because think about it. Even if they do a shitty job, which the bigger companies have done shitty jobs in many ways,
Mhm.
the smaller companies still have a hard time gaining any ground because they haven't built the trust either.
Yeah,
And
it's still a process, but there's still an opportunity for them. And the more the big guys do to shoot themselves in the foot, the better that opportunity becomes, but still a challenge. The reason that I don't talk about PGX is because, like you said, fuck is the point of talking about PGX? PGX is a joke, and everyone knows it's a joke. I don't care about talking about every now and then I got to tell a friend, like, bro, yeah, I know you just got a great deal on that 9.8, but do you know what the fuck's even in that book? Like, you have no idea what's really going on in that slab. Like, you have to buy PGX a different way. I do buy PGX from time to time, but when I'm buying PGX, it's an angle. I'm actually taking advantage of their negligence. They make certain mistakes that there's certain things that they don't know about certain things. And so I crack them out, regrade them, and sell them as what they are. And I'm not talking about the grade. I'm talking about they fail to identify certain value characteristics in certain copies that I do
Right,
identify.
like Mark Jewelers and
Sometimes it's Mark Jewelers, sometimes it's certain rare errors, and they haven't seen enough of the book to know
Yep.
that that's an error.
Yeah, I've caught those issues as well.
Yep.
They oh, I don't know. They're another one. They need to sell out to another company, rebrand the entire company.
They're not worth anything, and they don't make any money. I don't know why they
Well,
still
they
exist.
got the infrastructure.
They don't
they-
have an
they-
infrastructure. There's no
Well,
infrastructure
they
there.
got a slab. They've got a
Their
process.
slab is shit. Their slab is crap. Their slab is, you could buy their slab on Temu. Their slab is absolute garbage. And I called them the other day because there was a phone number listed somewhere, and I was like, hey, I need to see where do I put this cert number in? I need to see what other books were in this submission. And some lady answered the phone, and she was like, we don't have a place for you to check cert numbers. Just send me an email and I'll tell you what else was in this submission. I was like, okay, thanks. Like, what the fuck was that?
Was she friendly at least?
Oh, super nice. No, we had an amazingly pleasant conversation. I mean, I'm not saying that she was a bad human being. I'm just saying they're not a fucking company.
See, even a shitty company like PGX at least has better customer service where they talk to you on the phone.
All due respect, I think it was one of the owners of the company. Like, it was like someone who runs, like someone who pays the bills. You know?
That doesn't matter. At least somebody picked up the phone and was friendly to you.
Hell
They better
yeah,
give you-
she was great. I was in line at a coffee shop talking to her and laughing about all kinds of shit. It was a great conversation.
You know, I'll give CGC this much. You know, at least when they pick up the phone, they might not have an answer for you. They might not know shit what they're telling you, but they're
They're nice.
friendly to you on the phone. They're always nice to you on the phone.
It's such a good feeling. Like, we'll say nice things about CGC. Why not? It's such a good feeling to know that when you call CGC, someone's going to answer the fucking phone. It's such a good feeling, you know.
And they'll generally try. They'll try.
They try. They're human beings. They know if you're nice to them and you're having a hard time, they know that. It's just when they send it up the whatever, the chain of command or whatever, you don't know what's happening to the information is after it leaves them. But sometimes
you're fucked. Yeah, forget about it. Way after that phone call, you're fucked. But during the phone call, you're gonna have a good time.
You're gonna have a good time on the phone call. You might even call back and get that same person again, you know, and it's always like, hey, how are you? You know, but after that, it's not like they control what happens. They're just taking some information down for you.
Listen, I'll tell you just from personal experience, beyond even a consumer level, a lot of people know this that are on here with me. Other people might not know. I've done witnessing with them. I've worked with CGC on different levels other than just submitting and grading.
Right.
On all aspects, anytime you have to go up the ladder as far as correspondence, something gets lost. I don't know what. Middlemen. They need better middlemen.
They need something has to be inserted that makes someone give a fuck. The element of caring about their job does not exist. That part's not there.
You know what it is? I look at it from this aspect. A good construction project has a good project manager, a supervisor, a foreman. And I think that's what they're lacking. They're lacking that somebody or some people that are a hub within the infrastructure, that problems and inquiries and things like this of this nature need to go through them and get filtered out to the right places. Because otherwise they're just sending random emails to the uppers or to the lefts or the wherever they're sending it to.
Yeah,
and it's getting lost in the shuffle. Because if somebody that has that designation of being like a project manager or a foreman or something along those lines is saying, okay, this is the right person that needs to get in there. I'm going to address it. I'm going to put we have a star system, 3 stars. You need to read this now, you know, or something along those lines.
Yeah,
where they could go on a priority level and be able to take care of stuff. And if it's minor shit that shouldn't be bogging down the president of the company. Like, I got a scratch on my freaking case. They shouldn't be bothering Matt Nelson about that bullshit. There should be somebody else that's handling that stuff.
Right.
And I think that's where they're missing the boat. They need to have either a person, an individual, I think it could be handled with 1 or 2 people, basically properly designating all the problems.
Mhm.
Problem solvers. Basically, that's what they need in there. That's what they're missing, because they got the phone drones. They're really nice. They're really polite on you.
Yep.
They'll do their best to help you, and if they can help you, they will.
Yep.
But once it gets beyond their level of expertise or authority, you got a problem at that point.
You're right.
So it's
You're
one
absolutely
of those
right.
things. I don't know. Hopefully, this things get solved down the line. We'll figure it out. There's content for you. You could do a weekly thing every week. You could make a video and tell people, I hate this about grading companies, or I like this about grading companies, or here's how I would fix it. 5-minute video. That's all you need to do. And people will listen to you. They won't listen to me, but they'll listen to you.
I have a feeling people listen to you, CJ. We're having a great conversation here.
Just lighting heaters. CJ just, what, you talking about my cigarettes? Don't fucking worry about my cigarettes.
Wait,
I don't
what,
tell you-
can I see that comment? I want to see the I was like, why do I know that? I know exactly who that is. That's why I was like, wait, that looks so familiar. I didn't see the name. I just saw the picture. But yes, what's that?
Don't you worry about my fucking smoking, okay? I got enough people complaining about my freaking smoking. Don't worry about that.
So yes, a good middleman to see the problems through is absolutely necessary. Their operations aren't as tight as they need to be, and their process doesn't seem to be outlined in any sort of official processes, right? So everything is kind of winging it, and a lot of things are getting lost in the shuffle. Like literally, I'm sure, notes that are supposed to go with certain books and what's supposed to happen before this gets re-encapsulated is literally getting lost in the shuffle. So, yeah. The show will be 9.9 hours. Oh, because E-Man said, what's going on? He said, you're still on. And Jose says the show will be 9.9 hours long. That is what we aim to do.
We could make that happen.
We can definitely make that happen. I mean, I'm getting a little hungry, but that doesn't mean that I'm done.
No,
I'm
we
done
could definitely make that happen. But here's the thing: I'm a clever host with a clever show.
Okay.
If I give you everybody everything in one shot, that means I don't need to bring you back again. You see what kind of mastermind I am? I'm going to have to leave people hanging for more from you in order to be able to give them a reason for having you back on and watching again.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. That's true. Well,
that's marketing, advertising.
It's the cliffhanger at the end. I mean, listen, the community can rest assured that CGC will give us more to talk about, and I will be buying and selling more really rare, cool stuff. And so we will have things to talk about. And I may even start this YouTube channel here. And if I do that, I'd love to come back and thank CJ for the encouragement and let you know how that might have gone. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunity for us. And yes.
Well, don't forget when you do that YouTube channel to tell everybody on your first video who berated you to make that channel.
You are the first to berate me. No, you are the first to berate. Is that the word? Yeah. So
yeah,
you
it's a word.
Let me tell you what I'm big on. And there's plenty of friends that have been in my corner about that, and they're all going to get their due for it because they're all partly responsible. I'll tell you one thing that I am big on, and if I don't do it, it's because I have forgotten in the moment. But I'm huge on credit. Even friends that don't want credit for something or don't care, like I'm big on that. If someone said something to me that resonated with me and I repeat that somewhere, I also take a great deal of satisfaction in saying, man, the only reason I thought about that way, and I've proved my thinking on that is because of such and such told me. And that's just something I don't see too many people holding on to. I see a lot of people taking information from somewhere or reading something somewhere and then regurgitating it like it's theirs without giving credit. And that really fucking bothers me, but whatever.
Hey, listen, it's everybody wanted to take credit for everybody else's shit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what happened. Because everybody's in the star mentality, YouTube famous mentality, the social media. Look at me. Look at you want me to play you look at me again? That's what it's all about. That's
Yeah.
all it's all about. And by the way, Retro Collector, what I will be picking up specifically this NYCC, it'll probably be a 5'8" to 5'10" gorgeous woman wearing something furry with all the assets in the right place. That's probably what I'm gonna be hunting for NYCC.
CJ, I'm unmarried and I'm almost 40. If you are to find someone for me as well, just go ahead and give her my Instagram page. Thank you.
I have boxes with holes. I could mail them to you.
Oh my gosh, bro. I don't even know exactly how to take that, but where my head first went, I was like, wait, what the fuck?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You'll figure
I'm
out
very
what to do with
humane.
those fucking holes.
I'm very humane.
Holy shit. All right, let me see if my earpiece is working and I want to get back on here. Hold on 1 second.
Exactly. Look at me, man. That's what it's all about. So what I think we said a lot. I've held you on here. I starved you for 2.5 hours or 3 hours. What the hell?
Listen, we could.
It's been 3.5 hours.
I used to do with our friend Justin, who was in the stream with us. Justin Spidey Hits. He's the one that brought me on YouTube. He brought me on YouTube like 3 years ago. We started doing a show called the Marvel Show in the Marvel card space. And we used to go on once a week. We went on once a week for 60 some odd weeks. And it was not uncommon for our stream to be 4.5 hours long. It was just normal.
Well, that's very common here, especially if you watch our program, our sister program called Insomnia Comic Book Theater.
Oh, well, that makes sense with the name. And I actually have seen bits and pieces of that before. Well, you had one episode not too long ago that everybody was sent a bit and a piece of. And I don't want to bring that whole thing up, but shout out to everybody that was involved. But that was one heck of a conversation.
It's always something on that program. All I will say is the freaks do come out at night, and they come out with intent. But yeah. So we are very, very used to keeping long programming on here, but we try to as much as possible, because I find these interviews and these influencer episodes more important to keep shorter than longer, in order to give people the ability to be able to watch them again and be able to, experience you and everybody else that's a guest on here, the best they can. Because seriously, if we're sitting here for 10 hours, at one point or another, as engaging, as an exciting and charismatic as we are, somebody's going to have to go pee. Somebody's going to have to go, eat and rest and sleep, or whatever they're going to do.
Right. And I really hope that people do make it through the end, because I know some people, I hope people make it through the entire way. And yeah, I absolutely hope so. You know what? Obviously, this is to me, I really enjoyed this. I'll speak for myself, and well, I'm going to speak for you too. I feel like we both enjoyed this conversation a lot. I really enjoyed this conversation, and it is not done. We have plenty more to talk about, and we could continue to do this at any other time. But we have so much to say, and so much of we have clear perspective and some personalized perspectives, and we brought up a lot of things throughout the course of the night. And not everything gets this bow on it. It's not always something that you can conclude. It's something, sometimes it's just you're talking about a portion of a larger conversation. You kind of have as much of it as you can, and then you move on to something else, which is why we'll have the ability to revisit a lot of these topics again as CGC does new things, as CBCS promotes something new, as PSA makes headway into getting into comic book grading. There's going to be plenty to talk about. And as we evolve as content creators or collectors, we'll have plenty to share and discuss at the same time as well. But if we are wrapping this up now, what would you like to be the bow on this episode?
Well, listen, we are gonna we don't put bows on it. We leave it open ended, enigmas at the end. But to answer your question, Cosmic Rob, I've had guests tell me that they can't stay on for a certain amount. They say it can't be more than an hour. And guess what? That hour turns into 2 hours real fast.
Yeah.
Because you know what? We're talking over here. All right, we're talking. Where you don't just stop a conversation in the middle the way it's going. Manu over here, he had a lot to say, a lot of good stuff to say. And
You
what
too,
I
Manu.
want to,
Thank you.
what I want to ask you before we go off is one, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire of starting your YouTube channel. That's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is, in this endless crusade that you have of righteousness in the grading environment,
Mhm.
what do you think would be the highest accomplishment to your efforts? Like, what would you like to see done after all the time and effort you're putting into this? Whether it's through PSA, whether it's through CGC, or whether it's through all the companies, what is the one thing that you would take the most pride in them applying toward their business model?
Accurate grading every time, and shipping without a concern of a book shifting within the inner well and getting damaged and then not matching the exterior grade. If we can get to that point, I'm ecstatic.
That's like 10 things. I asked you one thing.
That's
One
two
thing.
things. It was
That was like
two.
10 things. You accurate
Accurate
grading and
grading
shipping and
and
proper
a good
packaging and
no, basically the all I'm saying is accurate grading and a case that actually protects the book. That's all I'm asking.
so basically you want them to do good business.
I want them to do what they set out to do. That's it.
Okay.
It's not even crazy, bro. I want them to provide the service we pay for. That's it. And from the community side, what I can ask is demand what you pay for. We are not partners with these companies. They're not our friends. They work for us. We pay for a service. What other place in life do you pay for something, not get it, and then fucking go order the same thing again?
Okay. All right. I'm going to extend this conversation for 2 minutes because I need
Okay.
to.
Okay.
Do you think them using AI as far as for grading would solve a lot of issues as far as consistency?
I'm
Because
not
we're going that
qualified.
way.
I know, but I'm not
We're going that way. And with the cards, it's way easier than with comics.
Yeah, you got front and back, presumably it's easier to detect things. I'm I am so unqualified to speak on that. No clue. No clue. What
Can you
sort of
see that ever happening?
Yo, yeah, I mean shit, there's plenty of shit that we have today. I don't know how this fucking phone is working and I'm over here talking to you. I can see your hands and all kinds of shit. Like this is amazing. This is magic. Magic happens. I don't know how
Well,
much
my
time
hands
it's going
are
to take.
AI.
This is what I'm saying, right? So like I believe in technical magic. It happens. I don't know how it happens, but certain people make it happen. So can grading come to a place where AI becomes its technical magic? I guess. Robotics meets AI meets a human supervisor? I guess. What does that actually mean to come into existence? I don't know. Would I ever want to be in charge of getting us there? Fuck no. Like that is way too complicated for me to even be excited in anticipation for. Like, I just want human beings to keep doing it, and I'm fine with that, but just do it with some integrity. Like, do it like it fucking matters. When I say grade a book accurately, I'm not just talking about the grade. I'm talking about the care and handling, the care and encapsulation. Just do your fucking job, You guys are supposed to grade books, not sell us bullshit fucking pins. And I love pins, but fuck the pins,
Consistency and
man. Hmm?
accountability.
Oh, the consistency, accuracy, accountability, security.
And security, by far. And
That's what they're supposed to be. They're just not that.
don't send your books to pressers in Florida in the basement of their house with no insurance.
CJ.
You know I'm right. I'm right.
Do your due diligence before doing business with anyone and do what you're comfortable doing, having found out what you discovered through your research. That's how I will rephrase that from my
And look at hurricane warnings before you send out your books to them.
Yeah. Always be aware of the weather when you're putting something into the universe. But before we go, dude, like I cannot believe you put me in a position where I undervalue something so important to me. And it's just throwing me for a loop because I'm like crazy number. I'm like, no, that's worth 20,000 to me. And someone tells me I'm crazy. Like I'm the guy that people tell is
Wait,
crazy.
you know I'm not wrong about what I'm telling you right now.
You got see now you see this is I'm so glad that you were supposed to influence me. And this is the most influential thing that well you influenced me, but this was the influence that I'm going to carry with me that's going to be the most beneficial to me because it's going to allow me to accept the fact that I shouldn't be so conservative on my values for that.
Five.
Wow.
5.
5 is good.
What are the 5 grades? 9.8.
2 9.6s, 7.5, and a 7.0. That's all
okay.
that's graded.
Okay. So 9.8, 35,000. Okay.
His 9.6 is up there for 17 and a half.
2 9.6s, 2 9.6s. Let's say a fair number since we're at 35 for the 9.8. Let's say 20 a piece for the 9.6s. Okay.
He's got those up there for 17.5.
Well, so I wasn't that far off.
You weren't.
Okay. So next grade was what? After
7,
the 9.6?
7.5, and that sold for 1,800.
7.5. Okay, so let's go at 15 for the 7.5.
15 what?
15 grand.
Oh, I love the way you're thinking. Fuck
Well,
keep going.
Listen, 35 is for the 9.8.
Yeah, but you're looking at you're actually trying to you're talking about it like it's sold for that price. That
I'm fixing the market. That's what I'm doing.
Well, you're gonna have to buy it to fix that market because that thing's
No. I don't have to buy
forever.
anything. As long as the sellers don't budge on their price, as long as the sellers don't budge on the price, those are the prices. The price is the price is the price of the price. So 35 is 98, 9.8. 9.6 is 20 grand a piece. 7.5, let's say anywhere from 12 and a half to 15. Let's be flexible. Okay.
Okay.
Let's be a little flexible on that one. Which brings you to the last man standing, which is 7.0. A nice $10,000 asking price is a fair ask on that.
So what's a raw then now? What's a raw going to cost then? What's a raw that would grade an 8.0? What's that supposed to cost?
Well, it depends on what the raw looks like. Does it look like somebody wiped their ass with it, or does it look like it's in nice shape?
One that would grade like an 8.0. Let's just say it would grade an 8.0, a very fine-ish sort of copy.
Okay, so if it's a raw that's like an 8-ish condition and that kind of thing,
yeah,
I don't think it's wrong to be in that 2 to 3-ish range.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not.
Is that wrong?
No. I mean, if you're putting the 8.0 at presumably $12,500, then being at $3K for the raw that might grade an 8, but you are inheriting the risk that it might not, is not bad at all. And that if those graded versions do start to sell for that kind of amount of money, then man, I'm glad I got my first one before having this conversation publicly.
Well, think about it like this: if these are the prices that are being asked and dictated in the market, and you only have 5 individuals that own these books, unless one has multiple ones, okay? Mm-hmm. They are basically the holders of their own fate in their future. Mm-hmm. Because they decide whether they accept that number or not. So if that guy that's 35 holds his guns and he gets his 35 or close to it, guess what? There's your barometer.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And if that sells anywhere from $30,000 to $35,000, all the other numbers that I just gave you, they're following, they're not off. As far as
if that sells for the 35K, you're right. They're not off. If that sells
even if it sells 30, as long as it sells between 30 and 35K, that's your barometer.
Yeah, I'll even give you if it sells from 25 to 35K, that's still the accurate barometer.
Well, if it sells to 25, then you start to step down a little bit from every upcoming book, but not much.
Yeah, right.
Not much. You're talking about percentages at that point.
I can't believe I actually said how much I paid for it. It wasn't even a public sale. I certainly didn't have to do that, but it was valuable for this conversation. So I guess I'm fine with it. This is me. I think out loud sometimes. I'm just like, did I fuck that up? No, that was fine.
I am kind of surprised that you actually said that, because
a little bit, yeah. Me too.
Sellers tend to never sell, and rightfully so. I would never tell anybody what I bought something for if I'm planning on selling it down the line.
Yeah,
you never tell people what like, what the problem is? A lot of people love to count other people's pockets.
I know. Oh, trust me, I know.
Like just because I'm making a profit doesn't mean you need to know how much I'm making. And at the same time, you shouldn't be dictating how much is acceptable for you for me to make as a profit. Isn't it weird that the psychology that people have, like, well, you're making this much out of it. Well, yeah.
Let me,
Well,
you know,
you shouldn't make it. Like, who are you to tell me how much I should make or not make out of my investment?
I know, dude, I had someone tell me this. It was I was in a conversation with someone, and you know, there was a book that I might have been into, you know, a couple grand, and ended up being worth, I forgot the exact book. What, doesn't matter. Like there was like $15,000 to $20,000 profit on a, you know, a couple $1,000 investment. And he was like, "Man, do you really think that you deserve that? Like, if you only paid a couple grand, do you really think that you should be selling that book for that much?" Like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's what that book is worth. I put in the effort to find the raw, to invest my money, take the risk in it, get it pressed, get it graded, achieve the fucking goal. The book is worth what it's worth after it's graded. Absolutely. I feel great about charging that amount. That's what the book is worth. It kind of goes into this notion of, you know, when people say, people give the example in different ways, but they say something like, I forget the exact quote, but it's almost like, let's say you're an expert in something, right? Something's your skill set, that's what you do. And someone asks you, "Hey, how much are you going to charge to do whatever for me?" And you go, "Oh, that costs $2,500, right?" And then you knock out the whatever in 25 minutes. And someone might say, "What the fuck? You just charged me $2,500 and that thing took you half an hour?" And the response is, this is a saying, a lot of people say this, is, "You didn't pay me for my half hour. You paid me for the 30 years it took me to get so good that I can do what you need in a half hour."
Bingo.
Bingo.
Bingo. You know, no, listen, do you have people that gouge people? Yeah, obviously. But, you know, like if somebody asked me that question, do you really think you deserve to make this? Do you really think you should be the one that's asking me what I deserve or not?
No, that's crazy. No, I love that you brought that up because it's absolutely crazy. And I've also had individuals, like, I have to be very cautious about this. You have to know who you're talking about and what their disposition is, because oftentimes, you know, I can feel bad about sharing a success with someone or letting someone know how much I profited on a book. And obviously, you have to be careful when you're negotiating with someone to not make them feel bad that you're about to make a good amount of money off of the transaction with them. But I also have these really brilliant relationships with people that I'm so grateful for, where sometimes this is really bad advice. Like, no one should do this unless you really know the nuances and the dynamic between you and said individual. But there are individuals that might buy a book from me for, you know, $6,500, and they know that I just bought it yesterday for $2,500. But the fact is, they are also knowing that I'm always looking, always hunting, which is why I find opportunities. And they also know that I took advantage of someone that was not take advantage of someone, but I took advantage of a situation where someone was underpricing and not recognizing what the actual value could be to the right collector. So I leap into action, buy for 2,500, and then find myself in a conversation with someone that also has been looking for it, is not an Instagram live sale shopper, knows that that book should sell for between 5 and 7,000, and I'm able to make $4,000 in a matter of a few days off of a sale, and they know that. But they
Yeah,
know
but
me
how
so well
much
that they're
time?
okay with it.
Yeah, but how much time and effort and resources have you applied in
Right.
order to put yourself in a position to be able to get that book for 2,500 in order to sell it for 6,500?
Exactly right.
That's the thing that people don't realize. You might have to fly somewhere to go pick up that book. You might have to spend
100%.
5 months talking that person down to get them to that price to get it to that book. What like we don't count, like, even if you got minimum wage
Yep.
and counted your time by the hour,
Yep.
add the time and see
When
what it
I
comes out to.
100%. When I'm going to the post office to drop off packages, I actually deduct that time from what I consider to be my profit on the thing, right? So if I'm putting $5 worth of packaging material on it, I like to cushion it not in my favor, just so I'm really strict on myself. I'll say, okay, it took me 30 minutes to package. You know, I spent maybe $10 worth of packaging and all the things. I'm gonna say that's $200 gone, right? That's how I quantify the stuff. And I'm driving
Gas
to the
price.
gas
Hell,
price.
you live in one of the lovely states like mine that loves to charge you for gas.
So I don't take any of that shit for granted. I'm not one of those guys that's like, no. I put a price tag on everything, especially my time, that's why it was such a careful decision for me to decide whether I wanted to be engaging with the grading companies free of charge when giving advice, because I really had to decide what is the weight of the value that's being added to my brand in the long term. And so it was a careful decision, but I absolutely agree with everything you're saying. Stunt Bike says you pay for the skill, not the time. Exactly. Cosmic Rob says, have you talked to the dude that has the 9.8? In fact, I know him. So yes, I mean, I know, yes. If there's anything that you want to speak to me about in private, you can definitely just hit me up. Stunt Bike says, Manu's transparency attracts a certain buyer. They don't mind people making money because it saves them time, which is, thank you. And those sort of relationships I have found myself developing. And I mean, these are people that have been knowing me now since my first sales. And we're talking 3-4 years, private communications, and they're consistent and they're ongoing. And they generally are aware, unless it's, it doesn't come up in the conversation, but they are the sort of people that become aware of the profit I'm making, and they're happy to do it because they do want to continue to conduct business where they feel like they're safe dealing with me. And so I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, that is one of the reasons that I'm transparent about it.
I'm going to end my thoughts with something with you.
Yes.
That I've realized right now throughout this whole entire conversation we had.
Okay.
As a seller, as a person that's a dealer, I'm going to tell you, I appreciate the fact that you didn't have to tell me about 10 dozen times during this whole conversation how transparent you are. Because that is one of my pet peeves that I have with certain sellers and certain dealers. When you have somebody that has to constantly tell you how transparent they are and how honest they are and how they're looking out for you, I know you've heard the people.
Yeah, well, I've heard.
There's a lot out there.
Absolutely.
They're gonna fuck you.
I'm telling you, man.
They're gonna fuck you real good. And I don't understand how the public eats it up and say, well, they just told me how transparent they are. Well, clearly, because he said it on video. So it has to be true, right? On YouTube, on Instagram, they said it. So it has to be true, right? Just like on TV.
Yep.
So I appreciate the fact that you didn't have to tell us how transparent you are on all your things. You actually slipped up your transparency without wanting to.
I did, in fact, but it's okay. I think it serves a fine purpose.
But I appreciate that so much more, and it helped me grow a bigger respect for you. The fact that because if you came on here and you kept telling me how transparent you are from beginning to end, this conversation would have went so much differently. You would have you would have pressed on every freaking last nerve I have. Every time I heard that or how honest you are, it would have stuck a needle in me throughout the whole it would have went a whole different way. So I appreciate that, and I'll tell you something else. I'll officially consider you a friend to the channel. You have an open door here anytime you want. I'm sure we're going to find something really controversial down the line to have you on another influencer because you're that guy. You're the guy that stirs up all the trouble with the grading companies. So I'm sure we're going to have something banana gate that we're going to have you on that we'll be able to focus on that. But I'm happy we had the time and the opportunity to be able to know a little bit more about you as an individual more than about what you do.
Right.
Because I don't feel that we've got to see that in other instances. It was more about what you're doing and what you're talking about. I feel that we got to see a little bit more of what you're all about, how you're wired in this in this moment. So I'm happy we had that opportunity. And before we leave, I also wanted to ask you if there's anything you're promoting or if there's anything you're going to be doing these days. Your channel or your IG info is in the description. So anybody that wants to go and see you, they could definitely link in there as well. I'll put that in the chat as well right now. So if anybody jumps in, they could always go in there, but it's in the description directly. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about or promote? Or are you going to be going on any other channels? You mentioned something about tomorrow that you want people to come and see you.
Yeah, I'll be on tomorrow night. I'm going to be hanging out with a friend from the Marvel card space. He's also getting into comic books. His name is Last Pack Magic, and Magic is spelled with a K. That's the YouTube channel's name, Instagram page as well. And we're going to be hanging out tomorrow night live. But in outside of that, I just really appreciate
Who's this Last
anyone's.
Pack Magic guy?
It's a friend named Graydon. It's a friend named Graydon from the Marvel card space, and he started a YouTube.
Well, why
channel.
didn't he come here to support you during this stream?
Well,
Now I'm going to
yes,
have to go there and yell at him.
Well, yeah, I hope that. Yeah, I hope you guys, get along. I don't know, but the only thing that I generally want to promote is my Instagram page, and until I have a YouTube channel, of course. But if anyone would like to hang out on my Instagram page, take a look at stuff, hit follow, warms my heart. Send me a message, whatever. Just please do connect with me there. That is the environment that I nurture and want to continue to grow, and that is where everything kind of starts from for me. All of the conversations start there, and if they resonate with the community, they start to go elsewhere, including YouTube. So please connect with me on my Instagram page, the 9.9 Newsstand. I'd love to see you there. And CJ, thank you for the kind words, especially in closing there. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for considering me a friend of the channel. I look forward to the next time I'm back, whether it's casual or whether it's to address an actual, active concern. I look forward to it. And I really appreciate the time you've taken with me tonight.
Oh, it'll be controversial next time.
We'll get it.
That's what I do. I'm nice to you the first time. I'm like a crack dealer. I bring you in nice and gentle, and then I clobber you over the head the next time. All right. That being said, I appreciate everybody. Until next time, we'll influence somebody in next time. You've been influenced. The chat's been influenced. And we're ending this. This is way long enough.
Good night, everyone. Sober face, thank you.
Goodbye, people. End stream. End stream. End. Why won't it end?
It hasn't.